We're pretty good here, Jerry, in this area with COVID right now, right?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Relatively speaking, knock on wood.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. The poor village of Portchester had to have a summit today with a bunch of legislators because they're really having trouble over there. And the cities, as always, the Mount Vernon, Yonkers, New Rochelle, White Plains, they're getting hit pretty hard. But we're in good shape for now. We have numbers. It's not like it's not going up, but
Right.
it's different than the other communities.
Okay, I'm gonna go live.
Hi, Theodora.
Well, I guess Joe has to be on it to provide support. I like your nice touch.
Chief, who's joining us? Detective Sergeant?
Yes.
Yes, how you doing, Jared?
Hi. Good, how are you? How are you, Mark?
Not bad, not bad. You know,
Good.
we're all surviving the best we can.
I know. Let me get my agenda put up.
Jerry, I'm gonna start to do the live stream, so taking me about
Sounds good,
20
Joe.
seconds, 20 seconds after that, you guys can start whenever.
Okay, thanks.
Next time we should do it upstairs. I have a plug in USB webcam. You might have a- If you put it on the desk here, would that work or not?
Yeah. I'll send you mine. You sign in as mine. They keep forgetting about you. I don't forget about you, but everyone else does. Mayor will be on in a second as soon as he goes into the other room.
I'll sort of see it over here.
Okay, I see the mayor on. Disguised as
Hi.
me.
I'm sorry I'm late.
So, first item, I just had it. The first item is the minutes of the November 24th meeting that I prepared, unfortunately, late this morning. If most of the committee members have had a chance to review it, then that's fine, we can vote on it. If not, we can just push that to the next meeting if everyone wants an opportunity to, read it over, since I just sent it out this morning.
How do you folks feel about that?
We can also take a minute to read because it's, I wrote the minutes, so they can't be too complicated.
Make a motion, we accept as presented.
Okay.
You want a little more time to look at it?
What a nice sylvan setting.
Hi, Mike. Hi, John.
How we doing? Sorry for being late.
That's okay. We just started. Hi, Danielle.
Okay.
Hi.
Who made the first? Scott?
Say it again?
Did you make the first motion to accept?
I will. I didn't, but I'll accept.
Somebody did.
I did. Brian Williams.
Oh, Brian. Okay, thanks. I just need a second, and then if anyone is, well, the mayor will take care of the rest.
I'll second. Scott.
Okay, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Hi.
Anyone opposed?
Aye. No.
No, okay. Tom, did you get that piece of paper off the copy machine? For
Yes,
the
I,
agenda? Okay,
you want to show the,
yeah, I'm gonna share my screen and show the agenda while we're talking. The next two items were what we talked about. Let me share that now. There you go, items 2 and 3.
okay. You know, what, I mean, I first of all, I just want to apologize because I have a Board of Trustees meeting that begins at 6 o'clock, so I got to leave a little early. I just want to say a couple of things. You know, I know that people are frustrated and that there has, you know, there's a time constraint, and you know, this is rather difficult, as a matter of fact, to do in the time of COVID. This would be a lot easier if we could all meet in a room and we could all get to know each other and we could all have easier conversations than Zoom allows. But I just want to say, you know, that the village is committed to doing this right. And, you know, if it takes more time, if it takes more energy, this is a very important initiative. And I think everybody in village staff on the village board wants to do it right. So if we need more time, if we need to rework things, you know, we'll do that. One of the things I brought up at the end of the last meeting was having an additional public forum. So we could discuss that, but I just want you to know that there should be a press release about the 10th of December, that public forum. And, you know, we're going to try and push it out as much as we can. We're going to ask all of you, we're going to ask our friends on social media, you know, community groups to push it out. We're going to ask, you know, we're going to try and get in contact with some of the younger high school age kids to use whatever platforms they use, because I realize that many of them, you know, don't use Facebook and Twitter like some of us older adults do. So, you know, we're going to try as best we can to get the largest cross section of people participate in the next one. I realize that the last one, you know, was lackluster, and we're going to look to improve that every time. And so, to that being said, that long prologue, the additional meeting. Is, I'd like, whether the board feels that that's necessary or a good idea.
Good idea.
Necessary.
Okay.
Good
Well-
idea.
Is there any,
And an obligation on all of us to get people who we feel strongly need to be heard to come and be heard.
I agree.
Jerry, do you think you could stop sharing? Because we all have a copy or we've seen it, and it's nice to be able to see each other. And I don't know how to, there you go. I don't know how to make it small, so
That's fine.
thank you.
Okay, I'm coming on my own computer now.
So Mayor, it may not make sense to go from the 10th and add another one before, unless the committee wants to add it before Christmas. We could put the first week of January, the first full week of January. If you wanted to add another one, let me see, that would be the week of the 4th. We have a committee meeting that Tuesday. So we could do it on the 6th or the 7th, provided I have bumping rights to other committees if they're, if I don't have enough Zoom accounts. We only have a certain number of Zoom accounts to be able to run a certain number of meetings per night.
Okay, well, before we get ahead of ourselves and pick a date,
Okay.
Would somebody want to make a motion in a second and approve the concept of adding a meeting?
I make a motion, we add another meeting.
Thanks, Brian.
My only hesitation is that we don't want to use adding other meetings to delay the process or prolong the process, because whether we get an extension from Shelley, et cetera, and Steve, we still are on a deadline.
I agree with you 100%. I think I don't anticipate getting an extension, but I think it's important to get more public input. So this would just really be about not delaying the process, but for us to put more work into it.
I second the addition of a meeting in the beginning of January.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
I
Oh, Ms.
have-
Perone? Ms.
No,
Perone?
I have a
Oh, Elsa.
question. Yes, I would prefer to have that meeting before Christmas, because, after Christmas, if people get busy, people will not participate.
I almost feel the opposite, just because I feel like there's a lot going on leading up to the holidays, and I know any of us, I don't know, this may just be me personally, but quarter four for like in the corporate world is nuts as well. So there may be, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot going on leading into the holidays, but.
Yeah,
I agree. There's a lot going into the holidays. COVID is surging. People are struggling with kids, whether they're in or out of school, when they're going to have their time off. Year ends are closing. I think it's going to be hard to get people to commit to a meeting. We had 30 people who were not on this committee on the last one. And if we want a really good number, we're going to have to advertise, get out to a lot of people. That means time, that means energy, and getting someone's attention in the middle of the holidays. I think planning for January, but putting our efforts forth now is probably our best bet.
I think the more time to get the word out for the date of the meeting, the better as well. Like you just said,
Yeah, pick a date now so we can focus all of our communications out. But I think the date from me, January, makes more sense for a community effort.
Okay. Seems like the consensus is January. But, I think we all have to make a Herculean effort to get as many people involved as we can. Because this is hard, it's a lot easier when you can meet in person, and, there's also, I think what we have to do is try and give people who maybe technologically or, not have internet connectivity, a way of trying to get involved in this too, because there's a lot of that.
Is there a way to use the library? Maybe?
I don't know, the library's closed right now, I think.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it opened when we had the power outage, so is it possible to open up the library just for the meetings, and maybe there can be a screen or multiple screens so that people can be socially distanced? I just remember during the power outage, I had to go there and we were all separated, but we all were able to access computers and whatnot. So if people don't have access
Through their internet connection.
their internet and I don't know, maybe a TV or something, so that people can sit in an open place, but not next to each other, you know, spread people out. If it's only on Zoom, I don't know how else they're going to get access to technology if they either don't have computers or don't have internet or don't have reliable internet.
Well, what I was thinking is the more word of mouth and the more advertising we can do on this, people will make efforts to go to friend's house or go to a place. I mean, we can ask the library about that, but I think you know, when people have to get on the internet, they find a way, and they want to get on the internet, they find a way. And I was thinking maybe the CRC could provide connectivity for people who don't have it.
Well, I could ask that question to our leadership, but I also want to suggest to producing a flyer and having that flyer being distributed at the food pantry. We have done that kind of outreach, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that in-house. Yeah.
Yeah, and the sooner the better, so then we can continue. We can also do mass texting, and we have a source to do that. But also the food pantry has mass texting. You know,
Good. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah.
When is this? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The mayor's press release that he's preparing. We could do that. Add that to the food pantry bags on Tuesday. We could have it double-sided, English on one side, Spanish on the other side, by the 8th of December, next week.
And watching tonight is Mr. Robert Ingenito, who's the village's PR person. So he'll be already pre-planned to do it. I'm sorry, somebody was trying to say something.
I think it was me. I'm glad that Robert is here, actually. I was hoping that this would actually be sort of a line item on our agenda, but not having said anything in the last week to anybody, why would I think that would just magically appear? But I do think we should deconstruct a little bit what happened at our public forum, because I know I agree with Tom, although we haven't spoken about it, that it was a little flat. And I had some suggestions, which are very much in keeping with what we're talking about in terms of getting the word out. And I don't think we should be looking towards our January meeting. We should be looking towards next Thursday, December 10th. And I think getting the flyers in bags is great. I have had communications from several people since that meeting who have not been comfortable coming forward publicly, and they did not, quite rightly, feel comfortable speaking on the air because we were not set up for actual anonymity. And even the addressing people by their abbreviations, in the beginning, we could see their whole names and such, and then asking people to be technologically savvy enough to change their name, you know, when they probably set it up 3 years ago on Zoom, is a lot in the middle of a meeting. I think that we should think of something else, and I don't have the ideas, but some of you, especially more tech savvy, maybe, like we could have a mailbox, but or a phone, a dedicated voicemail, or some way for people to communicate with the committee, information, anecdotes, suggestions they have where they really don't want to be identified. Now, I don't think that the chief is scary, but I know that she and the people who work for her have a lot of power. And obviously there are people who really experience that power imbalance or just are shy. Which I also don't suffer from, but, you know, feel that if they were to come forward, bad things could happen to them. And can you all think of ways that we could invite people and put it in English and Spanish on the flyers for Tuesday that go in the food bags, which
Well,
you probably know are, we have so many people. Go ahead.
Why don't we think of what we would do outside of COVID? Because, you know, if we weren't dealing with a pandemic right now, we would be holding these meetings in person, and we would have to think of a way to keep people anonymous through in-person meetings.
How about those terrorism hoods?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that in a situation where we're talking about racial, that we should be wearing hoods.
Would it be?
I think what you said, Ms. Saul, about a dedicated phone line where people can leave a message anonymously. That maybe, I mean, Jerry, is that something? I mean, because that sounded like a good idea.
Yeah, I can have that set up Monday. Sure.
With instructions in English and Spanish?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's a great idea, and that can also be added to the flyer for people who can't join the meeting.
And
Is there also a way, sorry, it's so hard on Zoom to gauge.
I know.
I feel like we all talk over each other because there's just no way to tell, you know, read the room. Is there also a way to do, like, you submit, you know, when you like send an email and sometimes for like customer service, I don't know, for some company or whatever, and instead of emailing them from your email, there's actually like a little form you can fill out online so that it comes in anonymously if you want it to be anonymous. Is there a way to do something like that as well?
Yeah, we could do it from the page from the Village of Amerenik.
We have that, but the email does pop up, but it does come to me. And
Is there a way to do it where someone wouldn't have to input an email, where they could?
That would be a question for Cliff and possibly Joe if he knows who's on here. Let me see if
Jerry, Cliff's boss is in the room with me here, and he says we can't do that.
Okay. So
what can you ask him? What
that email from that little I guess feature that we have on our website, they could send it to me. And what I did the other day was I got an email. I just copied the body of the email, sent it to the committee. Nobody knew who it came from.
Yeah, I don't know that people, I mean, I trust you to do that, right? But if the person is wanting to submit a comment anonymously, I don't think that's necessarily going to work. Is it that we can't do it because it asks for the email, or that we can't do it because it somehow links to an email address that's sending it? Because that's what I'm just confused about. Because sometimes when you submit a comment, you know, directly through a form online, okay, it asks for your email, but is there a way to just make it clear that you don't have to input an email or something? I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of how it actually works.
Okay, I've just been told that it links to an email address / IP address.
Got it.
That's what it links to.
So when we have our next forum, instead of having the Village of Amerenik logo up on the screen the entire time, can we maybe have instructions for people in English and Spanish on the screen? Yeah. So once they sign in, they are not just looking at a picture, because who really cares about the picture, but they understand maybe if they don't use Zoom a lot, what they need to do, or directions on how to change your name, or you know, this is what we're going to do. You get 3 minutes to speak, whatever, because someone's going to come in 20 minutes after we start the call, and then you're going to have to say all over again what the directions are. If you put the basic directions and basic Zoom instructions, then maybe we don't have to repeat it over and over again, and it will be helpful. And if someone can translate, we could just have both languages, you know, one on one side, one on the other. It might make the calls go a little better, because even during the entire call, and granted, I don't suffer from shyness either, so I don't care if you see my name, but some people do, and I understand that. You know, you can give instructions. You had to type your name in. It wasn't your Zoom name. It asked you for your name when you logged in. So all they have to do is log out and then type in whatever name they want. So I think if we just write that down and leave it sitting on the screen for the entire time, it'll make it easier on us as a group facilitating, and also easier for anybody who wants to join.
Okay, we'll try to get that put together. Sharon, one thing you said about the library, did you mean the theater? Because you can seat a lot of people and you can space them out?
I don't know everything about the library. I just was trying to think of a public place which would have internet access and where people can go if they don't. Because I know I don't have this issue, but there are definitely families who either have no internet access or just poor internet access, and they can't have their face on the screen, or people come in and out all the time. And
Mayor,
so
we could-
instead of suffering from that, or trying to fit on the phone or whatever, they might have access to a screen where they could ask the question.
We may be able to talk to the ED at the theater, Elliot, and see if they're willing to have make us, rent the space to us that evening so we can socially space people out. But then we could also have like a table with a microphone and a laptop connected to our meeting. And if they want to be on camera, or if they want to be in the view, they can be. If they don't want to be, then they can just stand off to the side. Now, they may not be anonymous, Sharon, to the people who are in there, but they would be anonymous to everybody else.
Well, and you could also have just a box with paper, something with papers and pens, and a moderator, have someone watching who asks the questions for them. They don't have to come up to the microphone. They can just write it down
box
and leave them, and then somebody else can just ask the questions for the group. My concern was really just about access. How can we make it accessible to those who are not tech savvy, don't have the real ability, aren't used to Zoom? Like, I'm on Zoom all day long, so I get it because that's part of my job. But if it wasn't, it would be challenging, and again, the internet access is, unfortunately, COVID has definitely showed inequities in our community. So,
But Sharon, I like what you said about the pieces of paper to begin with. I think that without any internet access and without having to be in that room, people should be able to either just write something or fill out a form that might be attached to the bottom of what gets put in the food bags or available somewhere, that they could just write it down. I mean, I remember when we used to write stuff down about that and submit it as a question or to the village, and we
could have drop boxes somewhere too. I mean, maybe at the community resource center, at the food bank itself, where someone could just put the paper in there, and who knows who it came from, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just let me, we're talking about questions, but aren't we really looking for statements?
Comments,
Statements.
Comments,
Comments.
Yeah, but they can make their comments and write out
I understand.
scenario. So,
But I just don't want people to think that this is, if anybody's watching, that this is.
people are right.
This is to talk about your experiences. I mean, you can ask a question, obviously.
Well, I mean, but people should be able to ask questions as well. They may not get an answer right there. We're not going to answer every question, but there's only 9 residents in this whole, in this group. We can't think of every question because we maybe haven't been subjected to the same things others have. So if they ask the questions, we at least take it to the next committee meeting.
And also, we may not have had the experiences others have had.
So for the people who are not able to make comments or, ask questions or give statements, can we direct them to complete the surveys? I guess the surveys is something that we really want to get going and really make people complete, right?
We do.
What's the time frame on a survey? That's what I was going to ask. Thank you, Janet.
The survey would be, we're trying to finalize it. So as part of the discussion later on this evening, because I want to get one thing out of the way first, but it's trying to finalize it by Monday so we can get it out to be received by the 21st, to give people 2 weeks to push the survey out 2 weeks. And then at our first January meeting, we would be discussing the results of the survey. We would provide somewhat of a summary report to the board. We would also provide copies of the surveys to everyone.
So would that come out before the proposed second meeting for the public?
It would be out and discussed by committee before the second meeting. Yep. So that would be our time frame. That's the best, Scott, that we're going to be able to do with the what I used earlier today, the small shop that we have. I just don't have a lot of extra people with a lot of.
No, that's fine. I was going to suggest putting something about that on that, but the timing didn't work. So, but thank you, Jerry.
So Mayor jump off? No, here he is. Mayor, I want to talk about, I would need to get a motion from the committee about the letter. So if we can switch real quick to that, and then we'd have the committee discuss the survey questions and all that, somewhat more detailed stuff later on. Before you have.
I think when the governor made this executive order, it was in a time when I think a lot of us thought and that we would be more normal than we are now. And as we all know, the pendulum is going in the wrong way, right? It's getting worse instead of getting better. So we don't have the opportunities that we might have to do this in a more, together way, right? And we all know that the problems with Zoom and all that. So I was going to reach out to other elected officials, but just for us to send a letter just saying, listen, we want to do this, we want to do it right, but it's a tough time constraint. Could you possibly extend the time? And it maybe Shelley and Steve Otis could support us on that. And the odds are probably it's not going to go anywhere, but I think it's important to try and make the effort. It's a letter, right? So, but if we have enough people doing it, because as Jerry pointed out, we're working with half staff. Everybody's trying to teach kids at home and work from home and do all kinds of unique things we never did before. So I thought it was worth the effort. I don't honestly believe that letter from the Village of Mamaroneck is going to necessarily change Governor Cuomo's mind, but at least we'll be on record. And
we can't.
Let me point something out. I don't think that after April, if nothing changes, we have to get our job done by April 1st, right? But that doesn't mean this stops. That doesn't mean the discussions about, this is a discussion about the police department, right? But let's face it, this is a larger discussion about race and class in Mamaroneck and in America. And it's a discussion we have to have. And it shouldn't end because Governor Cuomo has set a deadline. And, we have to get our work done. And I understand that. And I'm not trying to run away from that. But I just want to point out that I think that there's a lot that can be done here. And I think that it would be a shame to start this process and to try and move the ball forward and just end it because we had done what was statutorily required. So
I was just gonna say we're probably not the only town or even city.
I agree with that.
That's behind. I bet you it's rather common, and it hopefully he does give an extension, provided that people are doing it.
He probably
make it a good fit.
Mayor, he probably thought that we were going to be getting through this already this time. That's why he picked April. April is just an arbitrary date or a month that he picked, because maybe he thought when this came out in June that we were probably going to get through this and get back to normal winter, spring, and that doesn't seem to be the case. So he might have been thinking the same thing.
This is going to sound funny, I think, if you've stereotyped me, but I think there does have to be some form of closure for this project where it is an integrated project that has a beginning and an end. I also would really like if we could be in civilian officer dialogue in perpetuity, of course, and have, checks and balances and be in touch and have a dialogue. At the same time, the police department should not be under a level of scrutiny where there is a committee specifically designed to redesign them. At some point, they need to go and practice what they do.
I agree with you, Ms. Saul, and I maybe I wasn't clear, but my intent after April was not to just focus this on the police department, but focus this on the village, focus this on our community, and focus this on how do we make these discussions, which are going to be hard discussions. This is the first of a lot of hard discussions, right? And I think, in our generation, we've run away from these discussions. We've swept it under the rug. So while I'm not trying to all delay the process or keep the focus on the police department, I think the focus has to be on all of us after this is over. That was really my point. Not to make this a perpetual committee focused on the police department, but to make, have this morph into a committee, looks at race in the community and looks at the history of race in the community, looks at the future of race in the community, looks at how we can make people feel more wanted, that listens to each other. What has happened to me in the last few years is the realization that we think that we know what the other person's concerns and fears are, and we either come complacent because we think we know, or we don't care, or we really don't know because we haven't listened. We've just put everybody into a category where we think we know what that person's about, we think we know what this person's about. But when you start talking to people, it's not all cookie cutter, and it's interesting. So I don't want to keep going on, but I could. Listen, I'd be willing to write the letter if you folks think it's a worthwhile endeavor. But I don't want to do it without you guys.
Yep.
Tom, one question. Do you think writing the letter now or waiting until January, or just how do you think about the timing of that letter to be sent out to Governor Cuomo?
Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I write the letter? I'll send it to the committee. We could talk about it at the next meeting. And if the committee decides to send it at the next meeting, we send it at the next meeting. And then if the committee decides not to send it, we don't send it.
Tom?
Yes, Elsa.
Would you encourage other mayors or other to do the same? Because there's more power in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be more helpful, I think.
I'm going to reach out to our sister communities, Larchmont and the town of Mamaroneck, tomorrow. I don't think they're as far along as we are. So I'm sure that listen, everybody's short-staffed, everybody's pressured.
Oh, yeah.
So, we could all need an extension. But if we don't get it, we don't get it. We do our job.
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone willing to make a motion that you don't need a motion to start writing the letter. You want to write the letter and then we'll come back at the next meeting?
Yeah.
And get the approval to move it forward?
Yeah, yes, but I didn't want to
Okay,
begin the process if people would tell me, don't even bother.
that's good, Tom. That's fine.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda is I wrote it as no special clause question, but we've had a lot of dialogue about that. I do have enough, I think, material to be able to provide that committee member who called the other day. Is a committee member for a different committee. And so when she called, and she was the first caller the other day at the public forum, I wanted to get back to her. So I do have, thanks to a couple of committee members, I really appreciate you jumping in, that we have some kind of an explanation of what that no special clause potentially could be. And then if she has follow-up questions, I can deal with that interacting with her as the committee liaison. The final item I have is the survey, which we really have to nail down. Robert is not on. He had to take care of something this evening. He was on just earlier for a few minutes, but we have a rough draft of the survey. We've added one item, or I did distribute one item that was not necessarily of focus on the survey, and that was the item about off-duty conduct for police officers. Other than that, I would need some impression of if we're going in the right direction. Hopefully we are, and maybe some suggestions. I could put up our draft if you want on the screen, or we can just have an open discussion about potentially what's missing from the survey. And then everyone on the committee can email me during the weekend. I will get that email. I will copy that question or copy that comment from a committee member and provide it to all the other committee members. This way we're channeling the proper way without causing all sorts of issues with open public meetings law. And I can keep this weekend, I have time to be able to keep a live draft going, a working draft going, so that by, Sunday sometime midday, we have whatever, looks and resembles, what the committee is looking for. And then Monday, I'd have Robert work on it. Robert is a part-timer. He's not full-time. He has other responsibilities. That's why he's not full-time yet. But I can have him polish it up on Monday and then get it out to everybody. Plus, we want to take up Elsa on her generous offer to be able to translate that as well for us in Spanish, so we can put out the survey in English and in Spanish, and then start to produce paper copies, start to distribute those paper copies, do all of the things that the committee has talked about. So we really need to have a discussion without me on the survey questions, if someone wants to be able to lead that and move that forward.
I mean, folks, I have to drop off. Thank you all very much. And I'm sure you will handle this with the skill that you have so far exhibited. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye, Tom.
Bye,
Okay, Tom.
Tom.
Good one, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Good night.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah, Jarrett.
It's just to the chief. Did they get a chance to look at it? The
I
survey?
did, Jared. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see anything in there that you may have a problem with?
I did email Jerry some feedback. So I guess if you want me to start, I can go over with some of the responses I gave to Jerry about my feelings on some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I know how I feel, but I think maybe some of them, I figured you may have some input that you probably wanted to give us.
Sure. Okay. I thought Robert did a great job. The couple of items that I had was for, hopefully everyone has a copy handy. For number one, I think we should also include a follow-up of a why question. So if they've called the VMPD in the last 5 years, I want to know why. So that was number one. For question number 5, talked about, have you ever been stopped or questioned by a Village Market police officer, yes or no? And if yes, I also thought it would be important to include some positives as well. So for example, offer assistance, provide information, simply engage in conversation. So I think it's important to have both positives and negatives as part of that question. For 6 and 7, I thought those could be combined. Have you ever been patted down or frisked by an officer? I think that's semantics there with the search. So I think we can combine those to give us an additional question to use. Number 9. I'm sorry?
John is speaking in Spanish. John, you're talking to us?
Oh, I think he's talking to somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, he's talking to somebody else.
Okay. So
Can you mute him, Jerry?
Sorry.
Janet can mute if she needs to. I don't know how to mute people.
I can mute him, Jerry.
I got the questions. I'm sorry. Was there a third one? The combining 6 and 7?
Correct.
That's what.
I think I have to think about this one.
Okay.
Might be a little, I think they're a little bit different.
But we can put an or. Have you ever been subjected to a pat down or frisk or a full-blown search by a VOMPD officer?
Okay, what would you do, for example, give you an example of an encounter I had, which is my only really negative encounter, when I asked, in the middle of all of our troubles a few years ago, I bumped into a policeman and I asked, how are you doing? And he said, no good, thanks to you. And then he took his finger and shoved it into my chest, and then he walked away. That isn't really, wouldn't be, I wasn't patted down or frisked, but I was physically touched.
That's number 10, John.
Oh, thank you very much. I haven't gotten that far because I just read this after I got done with my meeting.
Okay, so I'll just continue and then we can, I guess, reevaluate after that. So number 9, about an officer searching the cell phone. You do need a search warrant to do that. Could it have ever happened? Yes, but I think that the responses would be overwhelmingly low, that I would hate to waste that question, and I'd rather use it for something else. And then I thought maybe for replacing a question or add additional question in place of something else, what would you like to see the department do better? Or what types of programs do you think the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department should implement?
Yeah, so I almost agree with pretty much all you with what you said. I think those questions are 6 and 7 may be minute difference, or they could be looked at as more the same. The cell phone thing, I think, is important, and because full disclosure, that was a complaint that I made to the village a couple years ago. Okay, it was in the park, and I had my cell phone went through against my permission. And the reason I think that's important, because we know that's actually a constitutional violation. Correct? Without a warrant?
Yes, you need a search warrant to search your cell phone.
So that, I mean, I know it probably is minute, or at least not many, but we don't know. So, I mean, I think that as a question, I think I'd like to see that left on there, but I think all your other critiques are valid. Especially, I'd like to see us put a little bit more on, have you had any positive interactions with police? Because I think that's important too. I mean, I'm looking at this, and as much, I don't want it to be like leading towards a negative survey. I mean, if that sounds like what I'm, you know, so but I just think that, yeah, I think your points are valid. I just like to see that cell phone thing stay around for a little bit, but that's just me.
So
I agree with you.
the
Yeah,
positive
me too.
interaction. So the question for positive interaction, yes or no, and then offer or provide an opportunity for an explanation. Or
Well, yeah, because what I'm saying is that I don't think that we give the survey that many positive choices. You know, I mean, that many areas where we can say, okay, well, no, it was a good experience. I mean, you know, they have been good, or I have had, because we're going to get some people, I'm telling you now, we're going to get some people in different areas of Mamaroneck that have different experiences with police. I mean, I know, and so it's going to weigh heavy on one side, and then it'll weigh heavy on the side of the people who had great experiences. So it may not tell us everything we need to know, but some of the people may tell you that, yeah, it wasn't the greatest experience I had, but I'm not angry, is what I'm trying to say. You know, it could be a double-edged question here, a survey, and we should have to be prepared for that.
Jared,
But I definitely think we ought to. Yes.
You add that kind of, rework the wording, for example, in question 4.
I thought maybe question 2 and 3.
Encourage positive and negative. Maybe you could make it a little bit more open to answering either way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's an open, you know, let them tell us versus leading them, I'm thinking.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think the one question that came up about the off-duty encounter, I think we can phrase it as either on or off duty. I think both are just as important.
Well, Chief, I think the question really stems from what, you know, what honestly, what rights are, or what are you entitled as a public servant to have a private life? And it'd be different, I think, if you're a garbage man, let's say, versus someone who is in charge of people's liberties at time. And so we'll give an example. If you went around saying that you are a diehard Mets fan and I was a Yankees fan, and I kind of felt that you had a way against people who like the Yankees, would your advocating so much for the Mets be a problem for me as a resident? Would I have a legitimate right to feel that because I'm a Yankee fan, let's just say, that you would not support me? Now, take it to its extreme, political environment that we have now. If I was somebody who was against one of the two candidates and you were an officer and you were in a position of authority, do you have a right to advocate for your guy or something like that? What is the extent and what are the limitations that you have in that area? I mean, do you have the same rights as I do as a guy who cuts grass to advocate for my guy as you do?
Right, and it is a fine line, and as part of and I know it got sent out late. The village manager sent out something about social media and the social media policy from 2 surrounding jurisdictions.
Yeah.
And when it talks about, I don't know if you had a chance to read it, about personal use. And it does say department personnel are free to express themselves as private citizens on social media sites to the degree that their speech does not impair working relationships of this department, for which trust and confidentiality are important, impede the performance of duties, impair discipline and harmony among coworkers, or negatively affect the public perception of the department. So, so yeah, it is a fine line, and I believe that it is important that, you know, as officers, you know, they're also private citizens, but there is a line there. I agree.
Yeah. And we have the same line in things like social services and HR and other companies. If it's going to, you know, you've seen on the news, people get fired and they're not cops. They're people with other jobs. But when their viewpoints are so extreme and they are publicized so nationally that it becomes a negative for the company, they end up letting people go. And this just would at least give guidance to what is okay and what isn't okay, so that it's not, you know, it's not as questionable.
Right. So I think that is something that the village manager, that, you know, we can discuss about, you know, possibly implementing a social media policy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a policy in place? Like a lot of departments have something like the ethics code of officers. Is there one that is in use by the Village of Mamaroneck?
Theodora, we have a general ethics code for officers, meaning appointed officers like me, elected officials. I'm not sure if we have one specific to appointed public safety peace officers, you know, police officers.
I'm just looking at that right now. So just, if you want to continue, we'll give us a couple of seconds here.
The one that we have for everyone else comes up quite often. That's why I know we have it.
Have we moved off of the survey? Like
No.
I feel
I think so.
Brian,
because well, first of all, I apologize for having my camera off.
That's all right.
I have crappy Wi-Fi right now. But as I'm looking at this, you know, when I think of my most recent personal experience with the police department here in the village, I don't see anything that really categorizes that. Maybe question 5. I was flagged down by a police officer on Mamaroneck Avenue, who, when he stopped me, like friendly stopped me, he offered condolences for my girlfriend passing away.
Sorry.
So, yeah, so
Sorry,
I see nothing. I see nothing that really, you know, when we talk about expressing some positives in here, you know, I see nothing that falls in that category. So I think it would be really important to you know, to capture stuff like that, because it happened to me.
So instead of having every single question be yes, no, and then lists of things, can we at the end have an open-ended question? Have you had any experiences with the police officers that are not indicated in the survey that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I can put a text box in the survey, in the electronic survey, sure.
Because I don't think we can capture every single thing that you might encounter with a police officer. You know, I've
Agreed,
had
because also
things that are very
not everything may be specific to like the individual. You know, I'll share this was a long time ago. I was in law school, but I was on my house that has a big front porch, and there were a couple of us outside, and we were having a beer or two. We were in our late 20s, nothing. And I had a police officer pull up and literally just walk onto the porch and start looking into everybody's containers and whatever. And he really shouldn't have been doing that, right? And luckily I was in law school and I kind of was able to diffuse the situation. And this was a long time ago, but that something like that isn't necessarily captured here, to your point, right? Because people could be entering a space, or they could be coming onto property and not necessarily stopping you on the street, so to speak.
Right. So that catch-all text box for you, Lauren, would be something like, I had an encounter with a police officer who invaded my personal space or my
personal property, or
personal
yeah,
property,
just something
like
of that nature, right? Exactly. I mean,
So just
today
a
that was
catch-all.
the only. Yep.
So I want to say something about this, and this goes to the root of the survey, which is we are not in kindergarten here. This is the committee to reinvent and reform the police. This is not the committee to say all the nice things and the bad things and bring it all together in a nice little purse that summarizes the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department as it is perceived by every resident. It is in fact a survey that we are seeking to elicit issues that are problematic that would ultimately result in an attempt to improve the practices of the department. And to take up too much time and space with some sort of a Pollyanna-ish, let's give everyone a shaken hand and pat on the back. The presumption is the police behave well, that they don't break the law, that they treat people with respect, and that everything is done by the book. When it is not, there's alienation of civil society. And that's why Cuomo said we have a problem. I mean, that's why people feel there's a problem. And I don't think we should waste a whole lot of time on what officers are doing well. If you have a great experience, write a letter to the chief and say, this officer was so thoughtful and considerate, that's great. But that's not what this survey seeks to elicit or identify. We are looking for problems. We are not looking for some even-handed, approach that says what's good and bad. We're trying to find what the problem spots are, what experiences individuals have had which are problematic, and those are the things we need to address. We're not in the business of
No, not entirely. Yeah. We're looking for people's opinion on how we think our police in this town is doing.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. That's what the survey is about. Yes, we are.
Our mandate.
This is why I think open-ended questions would be the most effective on both sides of the spectrum, depending on what it is that.
It is our message.
Show me where
if things are going well in certain things, we're looking to hear from those people. We're not just sending out surveys to bash the police. If those cases come up, we want to hear about it. We want to see if there's patterns. But if there's also patterns of people doing a good job, that needs to be heard as well. Anyone disagree with that?
Not in this committee. That is not our mandate. Our mandate is to fix what's broken, not to pat people on the back for what
we don't know what's broken.
But I
yet.
don't think we should be boxing people into responding a certain way, one way or the other, whether it's positive or negative. I think if you had a negative experience, it still may not be captured here. I think the more open-ended the question, obviously we have to provide some kind of guidance and parameters, but the more open-ended the question, the better the response we're going to get. And I don't really, frankly, I don't care if it's a positive or negative response, but I just think that it should be open-ended to allow people to provide the level of detail or share the experience that they feel was necessary to share.
Well, in some experiences, it depends on your perception. I might have the exact same experience as someone else, but perceive it completely differently. And so to me, it might be positive, and to you, it might be negative. And so if we eliminate anything that sounds like a good interaction, we lose a lot of information. And it also might depend on either which officer or which shift, or it might depend on which area you are in the Mamaroneck.
Yep.
Which section you're in, and whether there's an expectation by the officer that he or she will feel safe or not. And so they may, react the same way or differently depending on where they are. And we don't know any of that. None of us are on the police department. So, well, except the chief. But, we're not on the police department. We don't hear these stories. And I think the more information we have, the better resource we can be to the police department in being a really good committee and helping them figure out what's great and what's not, because we're not perfect. I mean, I think everyone will just say human beings get on the police department for different reasons, and policies are created at different times, in different ways and applied by a human being in a certain situation. So it might be applied 10 different ways, or even though it's the same situation, it's a different person. So we have to learn all of that in a really quick time. We only have a month to get the survey done and react to it. And to eliminate is to say to somebody, your opinion or your experience is not valuable. And it is.
I just want to make I just want to make a comment in terms of open-ended questions, because we have done surveys with the immigrant community, especially on housing, on issues that they are really have a hard time to think about how they can't voice or express their challenges on a piece of paper. I think it's good to have a balance in terms of giving some options in regards to the answers. We can always leave a space for them to add more. Usually people don't want to engage too long on completing surveys because they have to go, and have their life. And for us, it's just to have at least 5 minutes to complete those surveys. So I think we should be more focused on having a survey that could be completed in 5 minutes, because at the end we might get a yes, 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 and keep going, and that might not be the right answers or the answers that we all look for. So, but I think I like some of those questions, giving some choices, some sort of answers that people can just circulate and continue moving on, completing the survey. I agree that we don't have to give people a negative perception in terms of what we are looking for. If people have had positive experiences with the police department, in my experience working with the immigrant community, they will put that on paper. They won't try to make the police department look bad, because what we try to do is just find more information about how we can make things better, not so much how we can eliminate something that is actually, to protect us. And in that, I'm talking about the police department. So I think that, there are valid responses in terms of how we do this, but I don't want to add too much open-ended question, or not even a line for more information, because we might not get those blank spaces filled out. So that's my opinion on it.
I think we should have the option to allow people to provide more information, but obviously give parameters like you said, and maybe for the positives, it's just one line. My experience was positive, and we don't need the details if it was positive unless they choose to share that later in the blank space. We don't need to go into all these other reasons why it was positive, but we can just leave it at it was a positive experience, and that's that.
Correct.
One of the things that one of the other surveys did was add a space after a number of questions, which said, if you are willing or wish to add additional information, and then it had a little box with about an inch. We could do that, and if nobody puts anything down, which I suspect would be most often the case, fine. But that may also bring out things or bring out perspectives that the more carefully circumscribed questions don't do. I don't think the positions are incompatible.
Can we do an exercise and go in reverse order on what we have, so that we can agree on some questions, and so that I can highlight them? I can do it with a shared screen, or we can just, if everyone has it, need for me to share my screen with the survey questions, or does everyone have them up?
I have them.
I have it.
With all my comments.
I'm able to pull it up separately, yeah.
Okay, so the first, so the fifth question under demographics, if we can do it, what is your age group? I can complete that question and give certain age groups. If everyone's comfortable with asking people's age group, I think it's somewhat important, but we'll keep that for discussion. Is that a good question to keep? A demo question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Context is important.
Number 4 is what is your race? And I definitely can work with Danielle Gilliard, our HR.
So it'd be what is your race or ethnicity?
Or ethnicity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because as the statistics that you passed out made very clear, clearly many of those who answered that they were Hispanic probably also were identified as white or.
Okay. Number 3 of the demo questions, what is your gender? Male, female, non-binary, gender, non-conforming, or prefer not to answer? Those seem to cover the potential answers, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll keep that way. How long have you lived in Mamaroneck, Village of Mamaroneck? That's important.
Yeah, I would put ranges.
Yes,
Because
I'll put ranges. You want me to put ranges? Okay, I'll do that.
Because the more we have ranges, the more we could put the data into something that's a graph.
Okay.
Yeah, whereas if people are handwriting it, just that's informational, but it's harder to pull together as data.
So I'll use, a decade and a half as a range type of thing, 1 to 15 years and 16 to.
Well, it'd have to also be 0 because we're also sharing it with people who aren't residents.
Just
right?
moving in. Okay. And are you?
Or no, people who don't even live here at all, right? We're letting people, yeah.
0 to 15.
Or I am not a resident or something of that nature. That's one of the options.
That's number 1.
1
Yeah.
and 2.
Right. No, I know, but I'm just saying if it says how long have you lived, I mean, I'm just saying we have to have a category that's specifically, right, exactly.
And I would do like 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, because 1 to 15 is a big difference. If you've been
Okay, so I'll do
15 years.
0 to 5 if it's only a few months, and then 6 to 10, and we'll go from there.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, good.
And then like 15 plus, because obviously once you get past 15, I don't know that we need to be really specific.
That's a good idea. And then a resident of Village of Mamaroneck, that's a yes or no. That's important to me as well. Is it important to everyone else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but I also have another question.
Sure.
As far as being a resident of the village.
Yeah.
One of the concerns that I would have just based on everything I'm seeing, especially during COVID, is where you live. So we have a village, but we know there are more affluent sections of the village than others. And I don't know if everybody agrees. If you don't, that's fine. But we do have names for the areas of the village. And if we can identify where people are having these experiences, that might also be useful information.
It'd be tremendously useful. I agree 100% it'd be useful because.
So we're broken up into neighborhoods. Do you want me to offer neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's what I mean, like Parkway versus something else. It's, I do think that,
something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I think they have different calls in certain areas and they have different experiences in certain areas.
Washingtonville, Shore Acres.
Yeah.
Harbor Heights.
Right. And I think we even have a map somewhere where it has all of the
yeah.
sectors written
Hopefully
out.
people know, because I know some neighborhoods people actually have no idea what the neighborhood is.
I'll put or don't know.
Yeah, that's fine too. Or doesn't want to share, that's fine.
Yeah,
but
right.
if people are willing to share, I think it helps you figure out where the problems are, just like an age group. Is it really the 20-year-olds or is it everybody?
So there'll be some anomalies to that. So I live in Washingtonville. I live at the Avalon, so my rent at the Avalon is more than my house mortgage in Jersey where my house is. It's a little different, but it'll still be a general idea of what we have. So, okay, so then I'll do that. Village resident, or your resident village, that's good. So number 12, you feel safe in the Village of Mamaroneck when you are alone outside during the night, at night. And you have, very safe, neutral, unsafe, very unsafe. Good, keep. Okay, good, that stays. Do you feel safe in the Village of Mamaroneck alone outside during the day? Keep, because you need to know the difference.
Yes.
Number 10, so we get into more detailed questions. Were you ever, in your opinion, treated inappropriately physically or verbally by a VMPD officer? This includes being threatened or called out names. It's yes, no, and if yes, in what way was the treatment inappropriate? And then there's, those 5 choices. Do we need those 5 choices, or can we just, if yes, please explain, or how do you want to do that?
I have a quick question about are we going to narrow the time frame? I'm not saying we don't care about something that happened 25 years ago, but, should we say within a certain number of years, like we do with some of the other questions for this?
So within the last 20 years, within the last 10 years, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we don't care about something that happened way back in the past, but obviously there's been a lot of changes and things that have happened more within the past 10 years than maybe in the past 25 years. And I just don't know.
I would cut it down even
I would
less.
go to
I'd say
5.
the last
Yeah.
2 years,
I think 5 is good.
Because I mean, as we already have a new chief, you know what I mean? How many times has that happened over the course of time? How many times have we grown or shrunk as a department?
Right.
And how many rules have changed? I think in the last 2 years, there's been so many massive changes that, yeah.
So-
I
so
personally would make it a little broader than 5. I would say more like 7 or 8, just because, I mean, I don't know.
Here's the difficulty here, because the period 2005 to 2007 was a period of very high tension within the village, in which there were a lot of nasty encounters, not nasty and physical, but there was a lot of language that was inappropriate back and forth, but it was due to the specific circumstances of that moment. And that has changed dramatically since then, although perhaps not as much as we would like. That's why I said 5 years, because I'd like to be able to.
I have the same reasoning for that, just because 2007 was 13 years ago at this point. So I'm just personally, I'm just thinking about how.
That's so long.
Yeah, I know it flies by. So I'm just thinking about how fast 5 years can really, I mean,
Okay,
a lot has,
I'll draw my comment and put 10. I'm sorry.
No worries. That's what I was just thinking in that manner, just because people do come and go, things happen, but.
You want to use 8
again
to split it, or you want to use 8 or 10?
5 to 10, somewhere in the, somewhere between 5 and 10.
I would say 5
happier,
to 10.
personally.
Okay.
I agree. 5 to 10 would be a very reasonable time. Also, I would add in that line, it's not only that you were physically or were doing, it's the attitude of the policeman. You know, what kind of attitude? Was it, respectful? Was it friendly? Was it neutral? Or was it very aggressive? That has to be a weighting in there.
So it would be treated.
I don't know how you're going to put it, but.
Yeah, it's
so if
hard
I
to
added
word,
it
but I agree.
Disrespectfully, physically, or verbally.
Disrespectfully would be a good inclusion.
I'm uncomfortable with making it that broad a category, because unless it's much more explained, because a person who is never had encounters, never been lectured, never been yelled at by anybody, but gets pulled over for going fast, but considered that intimidating, disrespectful, and everything else. That is too subjective. It may depend on the person as much.
I don't agree, Joe, and I agree that people are intelligent. They know when they are being abused or being talked down, so they know.
Abused, talked down. Treating disrespectfully is a very, very broad term.
Well, it's, and be disrespectful too.
I would argue that
know.
on that, and in that vein, right? Like I'm not necessarily here in Mamaroneck, but I've witnessed someone get pulled over by a policeman. They were in the wrong, they were speeding, whatever, but it was just the demeanor and the way the policeman spoke to the person. It wasn't what they were saying. It wasn't even what they did, but it was the demeanor that left the person pretty upset and shaken, even though they were in the wrong, even though they accepted the ticket. And even though, nothing physical or there was no verbal abuse coming out of it, but the whole experience just left a negative taste in their mouth, to the effect that it was very upsetting for them. So I think we need to figure out a way to capture something like that, because I wouldn't qualify a situation like that as verbal or physical abuse for sure.
What about 5? It says other, please explain. You think we can get it? Can that pick that up in there, or do you not think?
Yeah.
that?
So number 10. So 10 does say, if yes, it has to be a yes. In what way was the treatment inappropriate? Right? It should be inappropriate. You would write this: I was disrespected. I felt disrespected, but
Well, what about putting that as one of the line items?
Yeah, we should probably align the descriptor here, right? So if the question's asking, were you ever treated inappropriately, physically or verbally, and then it says, I don't know, we should probably just make sure it aligns a little better is all.
Or you don't have to put, or physically or verbally, just put examples.
Yeah, take out
physically,
verbally.
disrespect,
Right,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that way it's not limiting. Yeah.
Right, so take out physically or verbally, and then we can add something like disrespectfully spoken to. Obviously, you could reword it better, but add it as the line, and that way when you have other, they have a better idea of what other is, if that makes sense.
Okay, and do we keep the Roman numeral 1 to 5? Do we keep those? Well, we keep other, right? Because we want people to explain, but if yes, in what way was the treatment inappropriate? We're using inappropriate use of force, push, shove, hit, verbal abuse, illegal stop and search, inappropriate sexual comment or contact, or other.
I would add other to reflect what we were just talking about and say something like disrespect or
demeanor.
Like
inappropriate or negative demeanor.
Something like that.
Yeah, but I would make 6 rather than 5 and have between 1 and 2 spoken to disrespectfully or treated without lacking respect, something like that.
So it's just one more option, basically.
Yeah, just add a 6 there, and that's it. Okay.
For number 10 with the yes, can we have the categories a little closer to the yes if there's a yes? Because it just seems a little disjointed that you have yes, no, and then if yes, it just seems it should flow a little better. If it's a yes, they should be able to immediately.
So
maybe we should switch the order for the whole
Yes,
survey.
no.
Right, so that the first option is no, and then the second, because it's a running theme throughout, right? If yes, so maybe through the whole survey, the first choice should be no, and then the second one should be
If
yes.
you put no first, people are more likely to choose no. It's a well-known fact about constructing surveys. So if you're going to do that, you're looking for the no.
Well, then you can switch. I mean, you can put the no at the bottom as well. I'm just saying just so that it's grouped together, however you want to do that.
So you mean from second page to third page? Is that what you're talking about?
No, what I'm saying is if for number 10, the options are yes and no, and then there's another bullet that's further explaining yes. I think with yes being the one of the 2 options, those choices for yes should be with the yeses. Whether taking out a bullet or another indentation, so that if you answer yes, you immediately select your responses.
Okay, I can do that.
Right, so that someone doesn't think that just because they circled yes, that they're done and they just move on. Right.
Okay.
But then by the same token, do you think people will be able to read beyond all that verbiage and circle no if they feel no?
Because then I
don't know.
I think we might have.
I mean, here's a question.
Is it a big issue if you put no on top? Is that a big statistical thing? I don't know.
Why don't you have them like in 2 columns, so to speak? Exactly. No here and yes,
That's what I was just going to ask what the format looks like. If it's possible to say yes and then or no or however, whatever, left, right, who cares? But that way it's clear.
It is clear. Yeah.
Make it as clear as we can anyway.
Yeah, I think we're in control of the format when we make up the surveys.
Yeah. You just put columns.
100%. It's been a while, but
yeah, I think that would be.
Side by side.
Just put 2 columns, and that way it'll be easy.
Okay, I can do that. Number 9.
I certainly understand that.
Has a V.
Could you, are you saying eliminate the first 2 checks, yes and no, and then have the list of 5 or 6? And with each one in the list,
no.
yes or no?
No, keep it that way, but just have the bullet underneath no, have that more explain that these are the options, or you can add other. That's what I took as it.
And you're saying visually, right? So you have at the top, you have the question, right? And then you have yes. So yes, and then the yes like options, and then no. Instead of it being yes and no, or no and yes, one on top of each other, they'd be next to each other. It's
What if you had yes and no on the same line?
Yeah, I can
Yes
do
and
that, Theodora.
no on the same line, and then below it, if yes, blah, 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 rather than.
Yeah, that way
They're
they're next to
parallel.
each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we can set up the survey, at least well, we can definitely do the paper survey, but the electronic survey we can set up so that it's visually it's parallel. There's yes on the left and no on the right, or whatever the case may be.
Jerry, if you use something like SurveyMonkey, you could just
Yeah.
have a yes and a no. And then when you click yes, it automatically takes you to a different set of questions.
Perfect.
To
And
that
then
list.
that'll be
just
the second
It's in the
part.
formatting of the questionnaire.
Right, but
Okay,
we're
good.
also going to have paper ones, right? So
Right,
just
but the
when we do
paper's
print the
easier.
paper ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just clarifying.
The
Yeah.
paper will look different. Okay, so I'm gonna
Maybe we should add some unicorns
gonna
and
move
rainbows or
this.
something too.
I'm gonna move this bullet
I agree with that.
on the draft. Yes. With the bullet. Okay, I think I have it. Number 9.
Jerry,
Yeah.
before you go to the next one, just regarding the question that someone posed about the off-duty encounters. I don't know what anybody's feeling. I'm okay with putting something like that on there. I don't know what everyone else kind of thinks of, as long as, because we are a small community and, a lot of officers, do live in the community, that they would be able to identify, that officer. So if people, want that included, I don't have an issue with it.
Okay, let me grab it from that email and paste it onto my working draft right now.
I think in our first meeting and also in the open forum, it did come up multiple times. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's coming up over and over again, then we should at least ask the question and
Yeah, I think
identify what those behaviors are. Because I know
I think
some
it's
of you know
important.
who you're talking about. I don't know who's doing it or what was done, or so I can't judge what was inappropriate or not.
Yeah, and I'm sure as the chief, you would want to know if this type of thing is pervasive as well. So
No, absolutely. And I think that, as part of what we're talking about fostering trust, if that's
Yep.
something that we need to implement certain policies or trainings, then that question is important.
Yep.
Okay, so I put it,
Something?
yeah.
Jerry, just let me ask the chief something. Do you think this is something that our committee should be addressing and dealing with, or do you think it's an internal departmental policy issue that you would want to create and deal with?
Well, I think it's both, because as part of this committee, it's supposed to be about fostering trust and integrity and things like that. So as part of, one of the conclusions as this committee, if we've come up with, we think that this is a point that needs to be addressed, then that would be part of our report that we would need to, put some kind of resolution as to how we're going to correct that. So I think it's both.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, so I added the off-duty question as the new number 10 now, after this number 9, which is still the cell phone question. And then everything else gets renumbered. I'll show it to you when I reformat it.
Okay.
It'll be in red. All the changes that we're making this evening will be in red when I distribute this new rough draft. Has a VMPD officer ever searched your cell phone messages or history?
Why do we have, I don't know? Wouldn't you
I don't
know
know.
if they took your cell phone out of your hand?
I really don't know. So is it a yes or a no?
shouldn't we say without consent though? I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
without consent.
Yeah. Mhm.
There is
Because
a question that says, has it been done? Have you ever been asked to consent to it? Right, that's one of the questions.
That one, it's a consent for like just a general search versus a cell phone.
yeah, it's not specific to the
Oh, I
cell
see.
phone.
My car. or
Yeah,
my
and then
phone.
I think the I don't know would then be important to keep there if we add that search the cell phone without consent, because someone may not be clear as to whether or not they gave consent or whatever. So you still have to have that third option.
If you're
But,
in custody and the police have your cell phone, you don't know if they searched your phone or not.
So we would want to say, have you ever?
That too. Yep.
So you would have to ask after messages or history without your consent, or no?
That's what I'm adding. I think I'm adding that.
Okay.
Yeah, without your consent, and then the available responses would be yes, no, I don't know. leave it that way for now. Number 8, have you?
Wait. I think
Go ahead.
that we're missing the point, which comes up in the question that's coming up next, which is that people consent to searches non-voluntarily. People who are intimidated by the police, people who don't know they can refuse to give me your cell phone, let me look at your phone, what's your password, don't know they have a right to consent. So I think that that's sort of presuming a level of confidence and education that not everyone has. Because people consent to all kinds of things they should never consent to, including the search of their cell phone.
Well, that's why I think I do think it's important to somehow capture that in situations where people are either unsure that they did or did not give consent or something of that nature. And to your point that you just said, there is also that minute difference that the courts have also made between requiring you to enter your password, searching your cell phone. There's all these different levels of searching a cell phone too, which I don't know if we want to get into that level of detail here, but I'm just, what Theodora said,
this may be my doing because I'm going in reverse order. And if we start at number 7 and go to 8 and then 9, doesn't it seem there's a flow to those questions? Have you ever been searched by a police officer? Yes, no, I don't know. That's a hard one for me to discuss. I wouldn't know if I was searched by a police officer. Have you ever been asked by a police officer to consent to being a search? That seems like a logical follow-up question. And then number 9, has a police officer ever searched your cell phone or history without consent? Don't they seem to have, doesn't there seem to be somewhat of an organization to those 3 questions? Do they seem different to you or separate?
No, I think the context of 7 and 8 together is important to your point. Obviously, there's a grammatical issue that
that's what we have to work out.
Fixed in.
Say to your person or
8.
property being searched.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which one is that? 8 or 7?
That would be in 8 under consent. Because we want, I think that it's important to establish that consent doesn't necessarily mean it's fine.
Person or property.
Right. I think that's why have you ever been asked to consent is the fact that it says have you been asked is important. But I think you could add person or property to both 7 and 8. I mean, right? I don't.
I think it's important to have the answer I don't know.
Okay.
Because because that will capture whether you're sure or not that you gave consent in the first place. So if we have that as an answer, that will be an indication that the person maybe didn't give consent.
I agree with that, Janet. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave I don't know.
Are we kind of brushing over the fact that the police don't need your consent if they have a warrant? So yeah, I could not consent, but if I'm the suspect in a case and the police got a warrant to search my cell phone, they have every right to do that.
Yeah, I think we're brushing over that for sure, but I don't know how to insert that because I'm not that smart. So I don't know how to insert that type of.
Yeah, I think that's a really important fact. We actually be gathering data that. Yeah, it looks really bad on paper, but our police department followed every bit of policy and procedure and never violated that person's rights.
I actually think that's a good point. I think we need to figure out a way to capture that.
Can't we just change the answers? Yes, yes,
pursuant to
or something like that. Make it simple.
Afterwards. Chief, are officers on a regular basis getting a warrant?
The police department got a warrant to search my cell phone or my automobile or.
So that's what we were just talking about with the detective sergeant and I talking about warrants, and usually, yes, that would happen after the fact. So maybe we tailor some of these questions as street encounters and kind of word it that way.
Instead of an ongoing investigation, Chief, like that kind of thing? Like it would be a walk-up type of encounter?
Right, because normally if someone's cell phone's being taken, we're then going to ask a warrant for it. Not to say that it can't happen, but I think we need to maybe tailor these so that they're addressing specifically, street encounters.
Okay.
But are we? What if somebody had some kind of call from their home for, I don't know, domestic violence or some kind of other issue that led to behavior. So it's not really a street encounter. You know, I'm not talking about an investigation into, say, like murder, but there are times when you're called to my home as opposed to me encountering you on the street. So
true, but I don't, we're not gonna be able to capture every single instance, you know, in the survey with that.
So what if number 7 read, have you ever been searched by officer to person or property or something along those lines without a search warrant? Or, and just add without a search warrant to the end of those 3 questions before the question mark.
Well, I don't think you need it for 8 because it says, have you been asked to consent, right? So I don't know if there's a search warrant. I think the meat of the question is in the asked to consent part for 8, but I think the search warrant is definitely relevant for 7. I don't know. I'm just trying to, maybe we're splitting hairs there, but.
Okay, let me see if I can.
I mean, but for 7, I don't, as a law enforcement officer, I don't need a warrant to conduct.
Brian,
sorry, you're cutting out.
Brian, we can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. So as a law enforcement officer, I don't need a search warrant to conduct a Terry stop. I have that right to ensure you don't have any weapons on your person.
Maybe it's one of the options after yes. Have you ever been searched, pursuant to consent, and then you say yes, and then just say pursuant to a warrant, I don't know, maybe it's one of the sub answers.
I mean, it's a really complicated gray area that kind of,
yeah,
it is.
I think could skew this whole thing. We could capture a whole lot of data, and then if we look at the reality, well, we got 5 people who are, subjects of felony stops, and we and our police department had, went through the proper procedure and followed everything correctly, and now we've totally skewed our responses.
Well, yeah. So if you say, have you been searched by a police officer, and then it says yes, and then one of the sub things would be pursuant to a warrant versus no, and I don't know.
But am I really going to check that if it was pursuant to a warrant?
Well, I mean,
we're giving people a lot of credit right now.
Well, you're giving police officers a lot of credit that every Terry stop is based on reasonable suspicion, which we know is not the case, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you have to give a certain amount of credit to the person answering the survey. You're going to know that there's going to be some margin for error. There's definitely going to be some answers that aren't accurate. Not everybody knows all the intricacies of the legal system. But, by providing the opportunity, I think that's all you can do at this point, and making it as narrow as you can, really.
So if the options were yes, the officer had a warrant, no, and I don't know, does that work for most?
Yes, I like that.
Right.
I think that makes sense. Maybe we just need to, put it in there, and then we can review it all in aggregate. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I would say let's look at it again after it's all done.
Yes,
and kind of fine tune it.
Yeah, okay. Same thing with the cell phone, right? It would be yes, the officer had something like that. Oh, let me get that. Hold on.
Yeah.
I messed that up. I'm working live here. Okay, that helps. That helps to. So you'll see in red to personal property. You'll see in number 9 without consent after history, and then you'll see in each of the 7, 8, and 9 questions we added a 4th answer option, which is yes, the officer had a warrant. So. And if I ever had an officer come up to me and with a warrant, then of course I would answer that way. I think most people would if that was the case. Number 6. This was the one. Did we talk about this? Oh no, I think someone pointed out that there might have been a typo. I see it here. It's your instead of you. Okay.
But I think this is where the chief thought maybe there could. Why should I talk for her? Chief, why don't you explain again?
So I'm just trying to find my notes with all these things here.
You said you wanted to combine 6 and 7.
I did, yes. 6 and 7. Yes, I think that would be best, so they can either include an additional question. And like I said, one of the questions that I posed, which I thought would be helpful was, again, what do you think the department could be doing better, or what kind of things do you think the department should implement?
Okay.
With
So-
regard to combining 6 or 7, though, I think as they were originally written, that made sense, but now we've changed 7 to include the warrant aspect and I don't know, I just feel like there's maybe a difference.
So let me share my screen, Lauren, because I wanted to do that so you could see it, because I'm trying to make these changes live. Right there. See what I did? So I have this in red that we've added and discussed. And so if you look at 6 and then you look at 7 now, maybe we could still combine them. I don't know, but they seem somewhat different now than they were before. It's really specific to my outer clothing. I could tell you that. So it seems different
Yes.
than search my.
Maybe it's just minute. I just read them very differently, but that could just be the way I'm reading them.
Chief, if we were going to combine 6 and the new 7 now, what would we want to do to either one of them to combine them?
How about patted down, comma, frisked or searched?
Right, I was gonna say that, yep. I
Or
think that
searched?
works.
Okay, so I go in here.
And then you give something that says, please explain.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm adding or searched. It's in red, and then I eliminate this. I eliminate all of this.
It'll have to, yeah. And then you'd have to adjust the outer clothing issue to capture that it's not just.
So do I add?
Do we need to have that line?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you just take that out, patted down, comma, frisked, comma, or searched.
And right.
That.
Maybe add the person or property from
Right.
7. And then I think that would.
Have you been patted down, frisked, or searched? Yes. Yes, the officer had a warrant. No, I don't know. That works.
Search person or property, right?
Search
Because we're pulling from.
Okay.
So then you would want to say from the VMPD and take out 7.
And then 7, consent question, because it's a new 7. I got rid of the old 7 and made 6 and 7 combined, and now 7 is the old 8.
Yeah, he already got rid of 7, but you want to
Yeah,
add by VMPD officer.
Was 12 the, was 12 the maximum amount of questions that we could ask?
Yeah, so I want to get that question again from the chiefs.
Yeah.
The question was, hold on.
You're talking about the one I wanted to add?
Yeah, the one you wanted to add.
So, right, so the question was, what would you like to see the Village of Merrimack Police Department do better? Or what types of programs do you think the Village of Merrimack Police Department should implement?
I think those should be 2 different questions.
Okay, so now I can ask them at the end here, before this 10 and 11 right here, I can ask those 2 questions. If the committee agrees to those questions, I just want to copy and paste them from the email. If I can find it.
Is it possible, does it make sense to ask a question at the end to kind of summarize? How is your overall feeling of the Mamaroneck Police Department?
Okay.
Huh?
Sorry.
You could do that.
1 to 5, highly satisfied, that type of thing?
No.
Another catch-all or something more specific?
It's ridiculous.
Why is that ridiculous?
Because that has nothing to do with our mandate. It doesn't matter if 90% of the people who answer this survey are 100% satisfied with the performance of the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department.
I'm really confused as to why that doesn't matter.
Because that's not our mandate.
In fact, I think that really does matter. I firmly disagree with you.
It matters to you personally.
No, I think it really should matter to this committee.
Well, wait a minute, but did you read any of that 183-page document that the governor put out? See,
yes.
I do. Okay, so
every page, yeah.
And did you follow any of the subtext of the different programs that he showed us? Because
absolutely.
What Theodore is saying is that this survey can come back where everybody in the Village of Mamaroneck is happy with their police department, and that's fine.
That's wrong. Like,
but this is not. That would be great. But the idea here is to find the problems, not to be cheerleaders. And I think that's what she's having a problem with, because as much as, I mean, you can have great working relationships. I volunteered in the fire department for over 15 years, 20 if you count the post. I get that. But that's not what the thing here is, to find the kinks, to find the problems. That's what
they're concerned that is.
But what I think
Can I ask a question?
allows us to gather is data. Like, if we have people who are having negative experiences, that's important. But if their overall experience with the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department is, they have a positive experience, or they have a positive outlook on our police department, I want to know that. But then I would also.
Can I ask a quick question? Is to Jarrett and Theodora's point, is the concern also that if we provide too much of an opportunity for something like that, that it may create almost a call to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, like go on here and support your police department and click all these things and tell them how great you are, rather than it being like a survey for the purposes to work out the kinks? I'm just trying to.
I see. I'm not quite. You kind of interrupted me. I see.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to clarify.
I see this as an opportunity to gather data. Like,
what?
I think if we do a 1 through 5 gradient of how you feel overall about the American Police Department, we can then run this survey again in 5 months or 6 months and get a new snapshot. Are we being successful? Because we've already decided we don't think our mandate ends when the governor says it does. So why not be able to grade our police department over time with a question like that?
But I think the mandate is more specific than that. It's about making recommendations for improvement. So while I support saying, if I had a positive experience that I want to share, that there is some importance to that because of perception of people and the way they had that interaction, an overall rating is so generalized, it doesn't help us achieve anything.
But it does over time.
But that's not our mandate. The mandate.
But maybe over time later on, if we want to see how we're doing and measure that, that's fine. But that's not something that's reportable at this
I guess
moment.
That's the question then. Does this group want to have a long-term generalized question where you can compare in time, time data points, over every 6 months or a year, or do we not see that as part of this mandate and therefore we shouldn't do it?
Well, I mean, I asked her in the first meeting if we had ever done a survey or had any feedback from the community to kind of weigh this against it, and we didn't. So if this is something that started now, I don't see that being a bad thing. And I know the goal is to try and find things that need to be fixed, but we don't like, we've been on 3 calls and we don't know anything yet. So we're trying to find out. And if a lot of people think that it is going okay, I mean, that's important, but we're going to get the comments too, to have a baseline and to figure out what can be fixed or what needs to be. I don't see that as an issue, but.
And so in terms of our role with the Board of Trustees, we're the committee supposed to find out and present the Board of Trustees recommendations that they can consider. I think that they need a survey after those recommendations, this process, to gauge. This committee is not going to be around. This committee is not going to be around as long as the structure of the Board of Trustees. So I'm not sure if if this is the.
The committee may not be around, but this question could continue. Like this.
But the police department can have its own survey after the work is done in this committee. You know,
right,
just,
outside of what our mandate is.
exactly. This is just for this purpose.
But I think this is the most important data point. This is absolutely the most important data point. If we're going to find dissatisfaction, this is where we're going to find it. Ultimately, what I would like to see is a progression over time, a positive gradient in a question like that. You know, if we come in at a 2, then that's really important to me. If we come in at a 5 on a 1 through 5, that's really important to me as well, because we need to be able to judge our progress.
That's not what you want. You just want to be a cheerleader for the police department. You are really not interested in a long-term progression of the police department's progress. You are here for one reason. Your statements have been consistently showing yourself to be here for one reason and one reason alone. You have never before expressed any desire to improve the police department or to see something over the course of time. You are looking for an excuse for us to create cheerleading for the police department, which may be great, but that doesn't matter.
Thank you for finally saying that out loud, because
You're welcome.
I suspected you thought that about me, and I really.
You're a shill, you're right.
Listen, let me just say that, I think that we have a great department here, and I think that, we do a lot of things very well, but I want to identify things that we might need to improve on, because I want to know both sides of the spectrum. So I think that's why we need to have the survey to get this information so we can see what, is it training? Is it programs? What is it that we need to make this department and this community even better? So to me, that's the point of this survey, so we can come with the recommendations to make things better.
So this is the mandate that I pulled out of the resource guide. That each local government must convene stakeholders for a fact-based and honest dialogue about public safety needs in their community. Each community must envision for itself the appropriate role of the police. Policies must be developed to allow the police to do their jobs and protect the public. I can't read the whole thing. 1 second.
Jerry, could I just speak for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, for some reason my headphones weren't working when I was trying to talk. To Theodora's point about Mr. Williams, I think, first of all, that's highly disrespectful to call someone a cheerleader, number one. And number two, I feel the point of this survey and the point of this committee is to recognize both the pros and the cons of the police department and be able to eliminate some issues that we don't have and not have to focus on that issues. But at the same time, there are certain issues. But it seems to be there's always someone trying to create problems that don't exist in our department. And it is very difficult. And we also should have a general idea of the police department. None of us are in the police department except the chief here. So for us to have both positive and negative things is not detrimental to our purpose at all. And in fact, out of everything, that 183-page mandate that we're talking about, there's a lot of things in there that don't apply here, and we should know that. What doesn't
But I think there are
doesn't.
opportunities in this survey to express positive opinions. I don't think that the survey lacks that. I don't know that we need another question to allow for more of that is all.
Okay, like we said about question 5, everything in there is negative, and plenty of people have examples of when they've been stopped by the police or questioned.
Yes, and we haven't gotten to that
two.
question yet. I do think it may be helpful in that question to put a bullet and just say it was a positive experience or something. And when we get there, we
I
can
don't think it
certainly.
hurts to have something at the end that's a catch-all. Like if there was anything else you would like to share it. That's a neutral question. And
I don't think a catch-all is a problem either.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think the conversation was sparked by wanting by a different question. Am I?
Well, we should also know if people are satisfied with the police or not, or dissatisfied. Because if someone's completely satisfied with the police, but they had one bad incident over 10, 15, 20 years, that doesn't, obviously we're going to take the concern into consideration, but we also want to know what the community feels about our police. We don't all know. I know how I feel about the police. I obviously know how Theodora feels about the police, but we don't know how everyone else
You
feels.
have no idea what I feel about the police.
Oh,
What
I do.
feel-
Oh, I do. Believe
I don't
me.
think that's
really
fair.
don't. You really don't.
I don't think that's fair. I think we're all here to make this better. And, I don't think that's a fair assessment. But
agree.
I think it would be important right now to finish looking at the questions that are on paper. And if we do then feel like we're missing something, maybe go back then, because it's kind of hard to say something's missing until we're done going through the rest of the questions that are here.
Right. So let me
If I may, real quick, before number 6, we needed to add by Village of Mamaroneck Police. That was just my one.
by VOM. Okay. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Right there? Okay, good. So Chief DeRuza's other 2 questions, I added them at the end or almost at the end before the demo questions. What would you like to see the department do better? Right, police department do better?
See, and now that you have those 2 questions there, it almost leads into the satisfaction question.
Right, which I,
because now you just said, what do you want us to do better? What else can, what other programs can there be? That just leads into a general.
yeah, and I use Michael's question. If there's the catch-all, if there's anything else you may want to share, please share. And is that
Yeah, no.
good enough? It seems right.
Yeah.
No, I think my point is, if now that I see the progression of questions, if we're going to have those 2 questions at the end, it's not so far off to have the satisfaction.
Okay. Oh, I see what your point is. All right. Okay.
Whereas before I felt like it didn't fit in. Now it kind of flows right into,
Okay.
you're getting so general, what else do you want to share? How do you think they're doing?
If I can just ask the chiefs, to expand on 14, what types of programs do you think the village Mamaroneck Police Department implement? What do you think the responses would be? Because programs will be different for you, defined differently for you than they would be for me. So,
Well, and that's why I want to leave it, for them to have free text to put something in there. It could
okay.
be, more opportunities to engage with police officers. It could be wanting them to see, have them additional training. So it could be anything. That's why I want to leave it open.
Okay. Or like more parking enforcement, because I get those emails all the time.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I
That's
think
fine.
it depends on where you live.
Yeah.
Because I could use with a little less parking enforcement on my street.
Oh yeah, no, I know where you live. You're probably right.
Thank you.
Take note.
They can take a day off once in a while. Go somewhere else.
Right. So I get those emails too. All right, we'll go to 5. So let's try to narrow it down. Joe, is Joe still on? Joe Marcel?
Yes, I'm still here, Jerry.
Do I have some room after 7:15? Do I have 7:30? Do I have 7:05? Or am I up against another committee meeting right after this?
Let me check real quick. I'm not positive.
Get back to me. We'll work on number 5. So number 5.
So I have a question about number 5.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to jump off right now. I have a meeting for the fire department.
Okay, Brian.
It's our Christmas meeting. Yeah, so thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the discussion we had this evening.
Just before you go, I'm going to send this document out towards the end of the evening or first thing tomorrow morning. This way everyone can take a look at it and provide it back to me with, whatever minor edits and all that kind of stuff we want to do. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care.
Hey, Jerry?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any meetings under the clerk treasurer account, which is what we're using right now for today.
Okay, so if people do have availability, we can go, 15, 20, 25 minutes over the 7:15 mark. The reason the meeting is 5:15 to 7:15 is because we have so many Zoom meetings and only a limited number of accounts that I have to, double stack meetings sometimes in the evenings, but we're okay this evening, so that's good. Okay. Sharon, you wanted to say something about 5?
I have 2 questions about 5. So my first question is, the way it's written, it says, if yes, what do you believe was the reason for the stop, which could be very different than the actual reason for the stop, because I could be inferring something that was or was not there. So I'm just a little confused about, do we want to know what the police officer said the stop was for, or what I think? Because anyways, that's just a question. I don't know if that, I mean, maybe it should be there. I'm just asking a question. And the second is, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we're giving so many options, and I don't know if that's, I don't know if we need to have so many different options if we're asking,
So let's try to narrow it down. So
like my religion, I mean, other than religions where you would be explicitly wearing something, which goes back to clothing, or race maybe, you know, like I'm not sure how somebody gets stopped for their religion and how that's going to be a common choice.
yeah, unless I'm right, so I'm Catholic, if I'm wearing a giant crucifix, right, on my neck, you may not know that I'm Catholic. You won't know that I'm Catholic. So I get that part.
My question, I guess, is do we need so many of these lead-in reasons, or should we just ask somebody to write it?
I'm inclined to go for that. I'm inclined to say, what do you believe was the reason for the stop, and
Yeah.
leave the line.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking too. What do you believe was the reason? If yes, what was the reason for the stop, or what do you believe the reason was for the stop? And there'll also be an option to say, you don't know what the reason for the stop was.
Yeah.
Or questioning. It's a stop and questioning. So
Okay, so then
questioning,
just
you would
add a
probably
line,
have
text box, right? So just add several lines of several lines so that people can write what that
Right.
paper, right?
Yes.
Or in a
Yeah.
text box. Okay, so let me add that to.
Yeah, because I think leaving the you believe is hugely important, because someone could be stopped for something, but then they think that they were really stopped for something else. So
Yeah, so if we're going to leave the you believe, then I think we need to take that out, because there's so many things that people believe that we're going to, you know,
Yeah,
others
right.
just going to get full like crazy too.
yeah. And in the trade-off, I think the you believe is more important than.
Yeah.
All right, so just to review that one, right? Because it's important. Have you ever stopped a question by a VMPD police officer? Yes, no, or if yes, what do you believe was the reason for the stop? And then just allow them to add whatever they want.
And if someone's been stopped multiple times, I think that could get confusing too. I think then this way they could put, you know, I was stopped 3 times, and I think every time was the same.
Yeah, there could be a myriad of answers. Okay, good.
Should that be included? Do we include? Wait a minute.
John, your voice is really low, so it's hard for me to hear.
Should we say, have you ever been stopped or questioned? Should we add to that how many times?
No, I think what Sharon's point was, people may volunteer that if they want to answer that. If it's yes and it's multiple times, they may actually put that in if it's open-ended or if it's a section. Do you want that as an option, you're saying, if yes?
No, it just occurred to me that there may be people, I've occasionally been stopped for reasons that I thought were totally justified.
I see.
Just maybe
brake lights weren't working, something like that. But I was stopped.
So then the person can just put that in there, and that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So if it says, if yes, what do you believe was the reason for the stop and or questioning? And in the text box, you could say, I was pulled over for speeding, or
That's
anything.
what I was. I was pulled over for speeding. Okay. Not in the village truck, chief, in my personal car. Okay, number 4. In the last 5 years, have you called the VMPD on your behalf or on someone else, or someone else who has experienced the following? Please describe how appropriately the VMPD responded to your call. Mental health crisis, crisis due to substance abuse, domestic dispute, non-criminal issue. You're not sure which government agency or service to call, or I have called the police, but not for the above options. Please describe.
Shouldn't we add criminal issue? It says non-criminal and the rest may or may not be, but it could be like, I saw someone stabbing another person across the street.
Well, other criminal issues.
Other,
something
yeah,
like that,
just general criminal, like seeing something happen illegal. I don't know.
But this question seems to be designed for non-criminal issues. Or
I was just going to
things
say
that
that.
are at least questionably criminal issues. And so when the literature about our project begins, it starts with what is the role of the police? And I have a list of questions that I sent to Jerry a little late in the game, I think, but that essentially some of them parrot other surveys that are out there and sections of the guidance brochure for the governor, which say who should respond to mental health issues, who should respond to domestic violence issues, who should respond to drug overdose issues. And it isn't obvious that it should always be police or that it should be police alone. And to the extent that police may not necessarily be trained in those areas, we know from elsewhere in the country, horrible things have happened because police approach a situation in a standard law enforcement mode because that's what they're trained to do and may not recognize that this is perhaps not a standard law enforcement interaction. So I don't know if we can get to that and see what people feel about that. And, you know, down the road, we and the chief can have a broader discussion about what our options might be.
I think the key to making it clear that that was the intent of this question is that it says how appropriately did the police handle it. I know we do care whether or not they handle a criminal matter appropriately, but I think the whole point of this question was to keep the focus on non-traditionally criminal matters.
I don't think
But
we
it
need
doesn't
to
say
answer
that. I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Sorry, Theodore. But it just says like, have you called them on behalf of somebody else? But that doesn't mean it wasn't a criminal issue. So I think it would have to say for non-criminal issues in the have you called.
It says on your behalf or for someone else who's experiencing the following.
Right. And I would hate to say for non-criminal issues because something could still be criminal if it's a domestic dispute. It's a fine line, right? So I don't know. I mean,
domestic dispute, especially.
Right.
More
What I'm
likely
saying is victims and whatnot.
Issue.
Right. Victims and whatnot sometimes don't see it that way. Right. So I'd be concerned about.
This question, I didn't write it. But I've seen it repeated over multiple surveys and in the other literature, and it's designed to get at the question of who should be responding. And this was from the very first night when I used that phrase, which I said was problematic, which is defund the police, which really is supposed to mean, do we channel funds from the police over to professionals in other areas and have them either handle or maybe in addition to police funding be adjunct to the police for diffusing certain situations, right? And this I think the question that's trying to get at that issue of how the community feels about that.
I agree with you 100%, Theodora. I think that's what the point of this question is. And I think it's a very important point. I think it may be clear that that's the point if we break it out a bit. I think asking, and I know you didn't write the question, so this isn't directed at Theodora. I'm just saying, looking at the question in general, right? The fact that the text box is covering it now, but that's okay. I can pull it out. Yeah. Where it says, and
no, don't take everything out, Jerry.
Yeah. Please describe.
I just want to show one point, right? So what if it's just that? Are you going to get?
No, because experiencing the following, right? So see that line after the semicolon where it says, and please describe, take that and move it to the bottom, right? So it says in the last 5 years, the call Village of Mary Police Department, we have someone else who's experiencing any of the following, and then the follow-up question as a result of that, because that way it makes it clear that we're focusing on those issues.
Get that from there and put it
just right after, just the next question.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay, next question. You want to come in?
Still going on?
Still going on, yeah.
You're on mute.
No, I'm not on mute. Hold on a second. Let me get this bullet point in. Okay.
And then you have to break out, you combined it with that question now. So say, have you ever, that has to be another question now.
All right, hold on.
Sorry.
It's okay. I can't get my screen back up.
I mean, does everyone think that that makes it clear that that's the point of the question? Because I do think it's a really important point.
That looks good.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
Sorry. What did I do? So
see the big red blurb with call and have.
Yep.
Hit enter.
Yep, that's
There
it
you
right
go.
there.
That's another question. Yeah.
Okay. So this is another question. So this is my new, I'll renumber these, but this should be 4 right now. Maybe. Okay. So I have a question about this bullet point. Let me just bring this down. I have called the police, but not for the above options. Please describe. This please describe, should that be other and then line?
I think that last bullet point it makes the question confusing because like we were saying, we're trying to narrow it down to these certain circumstances.
Right.
So take out, I have called the police, but not for the above options.
So is that all?
Yeah, because we have another question that captures whether or not someone's called the police, right? So
Right, it talks, I think 2 and 3 might talk about interaction experiences. and
Yeah.
describe that, so I think that would cover that part.
right,
so we
yeah.
need- So can I remove this last bullet point that messed up my formatting?
No, the one before.
The one before it, not the end please, but the one that starts with I have called, that one.
Okay, very good. So I'll get
And
rid
then
of-
I guess other criminal issue you had typed in when I was asking the question, and that should probably come back out.
So then remove this to,
Yeah, other criminal issue comes out.
okay,
Yeah, and then the last bullet point shouldn't be a bullet point. It should be its own. It should not its own question, but like a line below the bullet points.
okay, very good.
Just unbulleted, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's just formatting. We can get that fixed later.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Perfect.
I'll get that cleaned up. Okay, good. So number 4 is
That's what we just did.
the original one, right? So that, and then we're keeping mental health crisis due to substance abuse, domestic dispute, non-criminal, and please describe how appropriately the VMPD responded to your call. That's all within that number. Okay. Number 3. Have you had an experience with the VMPD in the last 5 years? So if we're using 5 years for this survey, Lauren, maybe we should change that 8 to 5, unless you want to still, oh, it says last 5 to 10. That's good. That works fine.
Yeah, I think we should be consistent throughout the survey of the time frame we're looking for. And I think we should either put it in each of the questions or we should put it at the start of the survey.
Yeah.
So that way it's
Yeah.
clear that.
I think we just put it at the start of the survey. That's very
Yeah, I
clear.
agree.
And you can't say 5 to 10 years because then you're eliminating 0 to 5. So we should just pick a time like 5, 7, 10. And
Yeah,
just
within
put
the
that.
last, within the last 10 years or whatever. I think we all decided 5 was too short though. Yeah.
So just put 7 maybe,
Want to go to 7?
or 10. I mean,
Let's do 10 just because I
we
think
So quickly,
the numbers
we said
easy.
10 before.
Yeah, and let's also
Okay.
keep the numbers because you want people being like, wait, was that 7? Yeah, I think
Right.
10 is just easy to.
I think 10 is a long time, and I think things change very quickly. I think that 10 is actually too long, but I'll go with what everyone else decides.
Yeah, I actually feel the same way. That's why I thought 5 was good, because 5 is a long time. I mean,
I still
crap,
think 5 is-
COVID's only been 10 months. That's a long time,
Right.
you know?
I still think 5 is plenty for that. and the previous question.
All right, so
I
let's,
agree.
let's go with 5, and then over the weekend, if we need to, if there's a compelling argument, we can.
Yeah, I do think though we should put it at the start of the survey and so that and not then also call it out in each individual question, because then people, if they see it say 5, they may be like, oh, well, were the other questions not meant to be 5?
Right.
Yeah. So whatever year we decide on.
So let's go with that, and then I remove it from the questions. Have you ever called the VMPD? And then
Do we need that though? If there's nowhere to explain anything, because what's the point? Do we, I mean, if I say yes or I say no, what does this do for us?
it would only be to gauge how many people don't call the police department. I wouldn't.
I think there's a point.
There's
I've called the police department to find out, you know, what time is there no more parking at the train station, or, you know, my neighbor seems to have a tree in front of their house or something.
Unless you put, why did you call? I don't understand the point of
Yes,
this question.
that's
What
what
do
I
we get out
think,
of it?
I had put as one of my first things was question 1 should be followed up with a why.
Yeah, because otherwise you're not getting any real data.
Right.
Is there no other place where we have a question that gauges people's experience having called the police? I can't scroll on this, of course, so I don't know what we're
No,
looking
not
at.
really.
I don't think so. I think, and that's why the reason that, because this question is here, is one of the reasons why we totally eliminated that other bullet point in that question we were just talking about. So,
right.
Is there
Is
any
that what
way
you're
to
looking
narrow this down to eliminate dumb calls to the police?
yeah.
No.
If I answer Theodore, if I answer the survey and I put down, you know, I wanted to know what day the sweeper was going to come down my street.
Right.
I put on there. Does that discount the rest of the survey? No, it just means like an idiot who doesn't understand what this survey is all about.
Well, it goes back to perception though. You might think it's dumb and they might have thought it was really important at the time.
I know. So that's what I'm trying to tease out. I'm trying to tease that out of the group right now. Like, the question is, have you ever called the VMPD? Yes, no, I don't know, which is hard for me in this survey. Or why? So the why is important, just like Chief DeRuza said. The why is important.
Well, especially because we're trying to figure out, are they the resource for everything? I mean, I think especially in a small village, we call them for everything.
Yeah.
You know, and we do, because we don't know who else to call. So we just call them. We don't have separate services. Like I had, for the first time in probably 12 years, I had somebody sleeping on a bench out in the middle of the night one night. And it was like, I said to the guy, I don't even know if you're the right person to call, because I don't know what services we have in Mamaroneck, because we're so tiny. So I think they get everything, and it's important for us to know what they're getting and maybe find a way to redirect some of the stuff that shouldn't go to them.
No, you're right. You convinced me, because if I can have a 311 after a survey like this and realize that there's a lot of non-police type calls going to the police department, maybe the chief and I have to talk about setting up some kind of a different process. I don't know.
I mean, in the city, they have that. They have 311 instead of 911. So you have a separation of where you're calling.
Right.
And
that's right.
Maybe there's some informational number we could have for general Village of Mamaroneck questions. I don't know.
I mean, we have the non-emergency line, but I don't think everybody knows what that is or knows to look for it when they're trying to search the numbers.
I call that line. There's nothing that I recall about. Have you
clearly called that line, but yeah, not everybody knows about it, right? Yeah,
I know it because I've used it as well.
Yeah, we all use it.
I have it
still the
saved in my
police,
phone.
right?
Yeah.
The non-emergency still brings you to the same police, just they know it's not an emergency.
Yeah, they just know it's not an emergency.
So
right?
maybe it shouldn't
Which
be
is
a police
important, right?
officer asking those dumb questions.
So number 1 is good, because we could potentially see if we need to put a campaign out there to push out the non-emergency line to the residents of the village. This way, we're not overwhelming the 911 line. That could work.
You're going to say why? I think I would. I feel
How
like
do you want to state that? Like,
why? What was the reason for your call?
Okay.
Or something. Because it's almost like, I don't know. Well, why don't you know? I don't know. Why?
Yeah, that's true. Why don't you know? That's true. I could elicit some interesting responses.
There you go.
Okay.
You could say, if yes, what was the reason for your call?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we combine 2 and 3 as options?
Yeah, we can talk about that because that might be the case. Have we had an experience with the VMPD? Have you had an experience with the VMPD in the last 5 years? I gotta take that out.
See, I see them as different questions.
I do too.
And I don't think they should be combined because I think they're too big.
Involving anyone?
Talking about strengthening trust or doubting your own police.
Yeah, because someone could experience both, right?
Right.
So.
I liked it. I think it was John or whoever suggested, if you are willing, please share your experience, because that's good. We should.
Yeah.
I want to include that in other areas.
Yeah, and I think that's important because I think that does, like we said, I think that does capture some of the positivity that we're looking for context for sure.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
What about experiences that you've witnessed rather than happened to you or a close person to you?
So can I do, have you had an experience or witnessed?
Or you could add it to the end, involving yourself, someone else, or witness. You could even put it there, maybe.
Involving yourself, someone else.
Yeah, or had an experience or witnessed an event.
Or witnessed an
Involving
event.
yourself or
Yeah.
witnessed.
No, yeah. By the way, I'm pointing to the screen like you can see me.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, that's what I was doing earlier too.
I'm like right here.
I think, Jerry, if you put it earlier, it makes more sense. Have you had an experience with a
or witnessed?
Have you had an experience
Yeah.
or witnessed
an event
with the VOMPD? Oh no, then it still says involving yourself or someone you're close with. Maybe use it as a separate clause later. Have you had an experience involving yourself or someone you're close with or witnessed an event after the parenthesis?
Yes.
But does it have to be someone you're close with?
No.
I mean,
yeah, well, maybe we can take that out. Just say,
experiences, right?
have you had an experience, right? We can just leave it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want to really know. It's not, was it your family member? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
If I witness an event or witnessed an event, if I witnessed an event, that's an experience that I'm having.
Doesn't matter who was.
No, but does it matter if it's your family, your neighbor, like, why are we isolating that? Because I could see something happen to someone I don't know, and it could still be experiencing something either traumatic or wonderful. I mean,
no, agree.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, but you may get a different response for something involving yourself than for one of your family members or friends or.
No, but you could stay involving yourself or someone else.
Right.
Oh,
it
someone
doesn't
else.
matter
Okay.
whether
Yeah,
you're
why are we
close
so
with the
specific?
other person was the point.
Someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would do that for 2 and 3. And then where it says, if you're willing, please share, we'll know if it was a family member or a stranger or whatever.
I think it's different because having an experience and witnessing an event are 2 different things, unless you're right there. I mean, I saw a neighbor from across the street be taken out of her home in handcuffs.
But would you categorize that as something that strengthened your trust or made you doubt?
Well, I don't think that matters for our purposes. In fact, it strengthened my trust because this is a woman with a long history of driving while intoxicated, and she had an accident in another town with her children in the car, and the police came to her home and arrested her. So at that point, while I think it could have been handled better, as in somebody should have been there to take care of her kids, I think that was probably a good idea. So I was happy that happened, but, or at least it did, it retained my trust that, anyway, but it didn't happen to me. I really was just a witness.
Right, but so you witnessed an event whereby the police did what you would have wanted them to do. And you could even say, although I wish they had someone there for the kids, because that goes back to what's the role of the police department and what support services would they need in their jobs.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Or
Jerry, we need to have you use track changes.
Yeah, right. I was thinking
crazy.
But I can't.
Sorry,
Jerry. We need you to take a word class.
No, So I can do that. And Danielle will vouch for me. I can do that. I have been criticized for using track changes on my screen while I'm on a Zoom. So I've come up with a different method. But now this group is different from the other groups that deal with. I can never win. I can never win. So, but that's me. That's
Well, you have a contract attorney on the line. It's making me crazy.
I have another question about that.
I want to read 2 and 3. If 2 and 3 is pretty close to what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I have another question about them, which
Okay.
is that in other surveys I've had experience with, people play a little bit of the old telegraph machine. I heard from a good friend that I would put in the word personally experienced or witnessed to stress that we really want something that you've seen.
No hearsay.
It shouldn't be necessary, but again, my experience is that people do broaden that category a little bit.
John, where would I put?
Okay, in 2 and in 3, have you
Right here?
personally had an experience or witness of the, or have you personally had an experience or witness?
Right, so have you had a personal experience or personally witnessed?
Yeah.
What if we just put you in bold?
No.
Have you had an experience?
I don't think that's enough. I think that the risk of people playing gossip a little bit is too assured.
Was number 2 correct? Have you had a personal experience with the VMPD involving or someone else, or personally witnessed an event, strengthen your trust?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that works.
That's good.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what we have.
How about question rather than doubt?
You have doubt here, made you question right here?
I don't know. I don't know if it matters. John?
I think they're almost synonymous in that.
Or you could just reflect number 2, weakened your trust or something so that it's like positive and negative, but the exact same concept.
I don't know. They kind of
I think the parallel.
pretty labeled.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of value, both questions, even though there's, completely opposite, they seem to have value.
No, it's the wording that we're talking about. So instead of saying made you doubt, is there another wording? I think
the way it is good.
I'm okay with it.
Not a personal experience. What if you already doubted?
Right.
Distrust made you distrust.
Right, because if you're saying weakened, then you technically are implying that they had the trust to begin with, which hopefully they did, but you don't know that. And so
but at number 2, we're saying strengthen your trust. So it's the same thing. They already trusted.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So
I'm
would
just
I
looking
do
for the
that?
similarity, not
Would I do that or leave doubt? Would I put made you distrust?
No.
Trust less.
No, I wouldn't say distrust.
Doubt. Distrust is like you think they're going to steal from you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say distrust. That's too strong.
Strengthened and weakened imply a continuum.
That's right.
And that's important.
Improved or what's the opposite of improved?
Disproved.
Devolved.
I think strengthen your trust and weaken your trust is perfectly adequate in that.
I'm not comfortable with that direct reflexive of the other. It's not really what we're talking about. I think made you doubt is good.
I agree.
I like made you doubt for 3 because I think I don't know. I think it captures that conflict that somebody may be having, right? About whether.
But then I would put made you trust or something like that for 1, because in 1 you're implying that there was already trust there.
Or maybe that built trust.
Yeah, that's right. Something that reflects the same as me.
Right, because you're saying if we're going to get rid of the continuum, we should do it. I mean, they should be consistent.
Yeah.
That has built trust.
And
that has built your trust or something that has built your trust or something like that.
Yeah, built your trust. I would say created your doubt, or no, maybe not. Maybe made your
I think
doubt just sounds so.
I wouldn't mess with that. Okay. I'm adding. So the last 2. type of programs and the catch-all.
Yeah.
15, sorry, this is Theodore's. Who should respond to mental health issues and who should respond to non-police issues? Do you want to?
Aren't those two different questions though?
I can break them out into two different questions, but so just go.
Or put mental health or non-police issues, but you're asking two questions right there. So either combine them or make them two questions, I guess was my point.
What are non-police issues that are not mental health issues?
An illegally parked car. No, that's the police issue.
A police issue.
A builder starting at 6 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. That's a non-police issue.
What about leaf blowers? And it's not
A dead possum on my sidewalk.
A dead possum in front of John's house. Right.
That's actually a good question. I had a dead raccoon in my
because
yard.
I had that happen.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
We have a guy for that.
Now you're gonna call Jerry.
Yeah, we have a guy.
Okay, now I know you have a guy for that. We were
If the
baffled.
policeman had told me you had a guide, I would have then looked for it. I called him because I saw it, and nothing was done about it for 3 days.
Yeah.
I think that's a different
Dead
committee.
possum?
No, but that's a
All right. We digress.
I have a couple of things. Jerry, I sent you stuff. I sent them a little late.
Yeah, okay, let me see if I can grab those, okay?
It's particularly unfortunate because now we have a perfectly organized, very well aligned and perfectly numbered set of questions. And it may incorporate everything I had, but I did want to.
It's far from perfectly aligned. Hold on a second. So let me.
There might be a couple of questions. I at least want to say a couple of them out loud and have us decide whether we want them in the survey or something that we just continue to work on.
Okay. So I have your document and it's dated November 30th. You want me to put it up on the screen?
Oh God, really? It's just notes.
Okay, so then you pull and then guide me to like.
Okay, so let's so you where it says for VOM. Do you feel more or less safe when you see a police officer? And then subsection on foot, subsection on a bike, subsection in a car.
Okay, let me pull that. Let me see where that is.
Is the police officer on the bike or am I on the bike?
Oh, that's a good question.
You just confused me.
We have a lot of bike police officers. And
I just saw a bike sitting out on the street the other day, realized it was a cop.
Yeah, and I do think that's effective for diffusing tension. On the other hand, I hope that anyway.
Okay, so let me pull that question up, add it to the.
You can pull up that list on the page if you want. I mean, that's fine. It just.
Okay. It'll be the bottom portion of the first page. So let me just pull that up.
So do you feel your local law enforcement is there to protect you or to police you?
Yeah, we're at the bottom of page 1 right here. Yep.
Do you feel that your local police would treat you the same as they would treat any other person in the village? Do you feel that local police might treat some people differently from others? And then I do want to get at this, and I have had several individuals I don't know contact me about this type of question, which has to do with youth interactions with police. So if your child or teen was stopped by the police, would you be concerned for their safety? If your child was picked up by the police, would you think they would be treated fairly? If your child under 18 were picked up by the police, would you expect to be notified before they were questioned or processed? And in terms of police in schools, do students feel that the police are helpers and advisors, or I wrote narcs because I couldn't think of a better word for it, actively or passively policing the halls for troublemakers or truants, etc. And then.
So Theodora, one thing that the Dr. Ferraro from Rhinebeck responded, and then I had a separate conversation with Dr. Shaps.
Oh, really?
They're willing to engage the 11th and 12th graders.
That'd be great.
If we want to do something like that. I know that if your child is, directed to a parent, but if there are questions maybe that we want to ask 17 and 18-year-old kids, that may be something that could be enlightening as well. That just made me think out loud of something that I was talking to the superintendents about.
I think that that's great. I spoke to a social worker, an anonymous social worker at Mamaroneck district-wide, and they were not comfortable speaking to me about the idea of talking to students about this.
Yeah, I know I have Reinvention buy-in on the student interaction or the student participation.
Well, maybe we can, encourage Dr. Shaps, he's part of our committee, to help us find ways to have inroads into the students. They certainly don't read the Mamaroneck publication that's sent to parents, the tiger bites and stuff.
No, so
Do we still have a youth officer? Sorry.
Jaeger, and Frank
We-
Maresca.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have two.
We have two, yeah.
Okay. I just remember when I was going to.
Dr. Shaps has the Town of Mamaroneck committee that he's been on, and he was put on the Village of Larchmont committee too. So he and I came to an agreement that I would just ask him, if the committee wants me to ask him something, I would ask him something and ask him to provide that or provide that accommodation. And he said he was more than willing to do that. So he just can't make 3 meetings or 6 meetings a month on police reform. That's all. That's what he was saying.
So we can separately discuss amongst ourselves what would be questions we want to ask kids. What about questions for parents? And is it possible to possibly include 1 to 2 questions that would incorporate any ideas we have about how you would feel as a parent if your child interacted with the police in any way, was stopped in the park, or in school, or was actually picked up and accused of a crime?
Yeah, there may be value into having, into putting a question or 2 into the survey that has, that solicits the emotion of what happened to my child type of thing.
Honestly, I've heard from 3 different parents who I don't know asking me, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
I think we just have to be careful because we don't want to make the survey too long where people
know.
are going to think it's a chore and they're not going to want to do it.
Right.
Agreed.
That's
So
right.
let's-
And then another question has to do with body cameras and whether that's important to the people of the village, whether officers were to wear body cameras or not.
And I understand that you may want to get the public's opinion on whether body cameras are important or not, but if I can tell you what just happened in Jersey, that the governor just signed a bill that will mandate, and it's a funded mandate, for police departments. In my former police departments, we had body cameras the entire time I was there. I was there for 7 years as the administrator, and we had body cameras. But now I think the Governor Murphy, and these governors in our tri-state area kind of copy each other. That may be a state mandated, a state mandated process that all the police departments go through, Theodora. So I'm not really sure if knowing that, I don't know if we want to add a question with that or not. Maybe a question, if you feel more secure if the police officer was wearing a body camera, there's definitely value to that, but I don't know what we would do with that. I think we're going to get body cameras, whether we want them or not.
I see.
Don't want them. I just think that it hasn't been a discussion and a budget option, a budget discussion yet, because it all comes down to, how much is.
But we do have that power to make it a budget discussion. We may be shut down and there may be PBA considerations. But the fact is, I work in New York City and they're the bane of my existence because I get, 300 hours of body cam for 1 arrest if 6 police cars respond with 2 officers each.
Yeah, I know.
You get
It's a lot of work.
everybody's body cam, and it's horrible because maybe the key 5 minutes are in one person's body cam, but I won't find it unless I look at all the hours. It's horrible, but it often is the best source of exculpating police officers from accusations also.
And Jerry, that is the question that they could answer as part of the what types of programs could they implement? They could put body cameras on that.
Yeah, I think most people know what the body camera is, and if they bring it up enough, we'll know that it's wanted.
Yeah.
Is the reason we don't have them, is it a budgetary thing and a privacy thing?
So Scott, I've been here for 1.5 years, and so
Yeah.
I've had one real budget that I've worked on, and it ended up being a COVID budget. So I cut it to shreds. So I never had an opportunity to talk to the former police chief about adding new initiatives, new items to the budget because we were going the opposite way. We were reducing the budget. So
Are they an expensive item? Is it the camera, but then the monthly maintenance to store the tape and all that? Is that an expensive proposition?
yeah, I think
Correct.
we're in the
The storage.
$50,000 range a year, 50,000 per in just the maintenance part of it after
Right.
you purchase it.
Oh, how does that compare to the cost of maintaining the cameras over the Black Lives Matter mural?
That is a couple of hundred a month. So it's a big difference. It's like 2,500 compared to $50,000.
Per camera, Jerry?
No, the total package is like 50,000 a year for the monitoring.
Oh, I thought you meant per camera. I was about to be.
No, not per camera. No, not per camera.
Can I say, Jerry? After the first meeting, the chief, she gave us some notes from that meeting, so we had them for the second meeting. And one of the things was body worn cameras.
Yeah.
And one of the notations was in negotiations with the PBA.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started out this, you guys gave us a contract that ended, I guess last year.
Yeah, we're out of contract. It ended this year, Garrett, on May 31st.
So now, you know, I've done a lot of research on this, and this is the time that we have to make this push. Because, I mean, I think once you're in a contract and you're locked into a contract, it's a lot harder to negotiate the cameras. I think right now is where, I mean, it has to be strengthened. I mean, I think that the reason why the question is important, because if you come back with a high response that cameras should be maybe looked into, and it'll help your hand in getting the budget correct. And it'll help the chief's hand in saying, listen, this is what the community is looking for. But if we do it after a budget, I think it's going to, I mean, after a contract, I just think it's going to make it harder for both of you to implement this.
So you wouldn't know this about me, but I'm a different type of negotiator when it comes to contracts. But
oh, okay.
But if the Board of Trustees provides a directive that they believe body cameras are something that you know are necessary for the village, then we'll sit down and talk. And you're right. You were right about your first point. This is the time to talk to the PBA.
What if the directive comes from this committee, right? What if we say that? And then
so what happens?
I'm not saying that we can cause you to sit down and talk. I'm just saying if we're suggesting this and then the.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it can come from you. And then,
right.
So then if it does make it, so it makes it, if it goes to the BOT and the BOT decides it's a recommendation that they want to move forward with, then they give me the directive, Lauren. Yeah.
So it sounds like the topic is important then.
Yeah, it is important for the timing. Jared.
Besides the budget, what is the issue? Is it a privacy concern the police feel they have? I never fully understood that, because to me, if I was a police officer, I feel like I'd want one.
I'm not able to answer that. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So the police department's open to it. The only things that have been kind of hindering it again is the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And because the fact that there has to be a policy put in place and then there could be disciplinary action involved should someone not adhere to the policy. That's why it has to be negotiated with the PBA.
That's correct.
But the police officers, they want it. And you see in other places that it's more helpful than anything else. So
yeah, and if I could just say budget wise, it's certainly probably cheaper to line item budget plan for $50,000 a year to do this than it is to engage in all these lawsuits that could come out of it and trying to fact find and whatnot long term.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. I just want, I've wondered about that for a while, so thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and this is the first time and the only time that I've spoken to anyone about body cameras, because it's not something that has come up in the past. But you know, we can pursue it if it's a question this committee wants to add to the survey, and it's a question of value, then let's add it. Let's put it down on paper and let's add it, if that's what we want.
If you're saying it's probably inevitable and that at some point in negotiations that's going to have an outcome in that direction, then we don't need to waste a question on it.
Or you can change the other question about programs to include equipment And maybe
Yeah.
that would kind of steer somebody towards that as well.
Yeah, if we add the word equipment, that may actually.
Programs and or equipment. Yeah, I like that.
Right. So Theodora, right, to that, if I could just expand for a minute, if I think that the governor's going to mandate it, and I may not be too willing to give something up for the PBA to accept, body cameras. So that's why I'm explaining that I'm a different type of negotiator than maybe other village managers. So
All right.
what I'll do is, let me go back to the survey. Let me go back to the survey and pick up a different screen.
And you know, I had one line in that I said, do not publish, and I knew it would come back to bite me.
You guys, it's so impossible to keep track of everything, but I'm trying my best.
Jerry?
Yeah.
I have another Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Elsa.
I have to
I'll be
leave.
in touch about the translation, okay?
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Hi, Elsa.
Night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
There you go, Chief. That word does it all right there. What type of programs or equipment do you think the VMPD should implement?
Perfect.
That's good. Okay. And then are we going back to?
Yeah, there was a question that Theodora had about being treated the same way and trust. I don't remember the question, but I remember it being
Not about Phillips Park Road.
No, it's
no.
You feel that your local police would treat you the same way as any other person in the village? That was Theodora's question. I think you're talking about, right, Sharon?
Yeah, maybe. Because we definitely, we know racism is an issue. I mean, that's not a secret, right? And I don't think we address that. And I don't want to say like, do you think they're racist? But I do want to touch somehow on the fairness of how you get treated, because I think if all of us had similar and did something similarly, we might have different encounters with the police, whether they're in Mamaroneck or somewhere else. I think that's just
even just the perception of the fairness of how you're treated, right? Because that also touches on the trust aspect. So
Right.
But
is that part of 2 or 3? When we talk about experiences that they've had?
No, because I think I have to see the way she had it written. I don't remember, but
here I have it here, Sharon, at the very end of this page. Do you feel that your local police?
Yeah, I think that is a different question, because I could have had an experience that either made me trust them more or less. But do I feel that as a white Hispanic female in my age group in the area I live, that I'm going to get treated the exact same way as every other person in the village? I don't know if I would or I wouldn't, but do I feel that way? You know, what's that perception? I don't know if this is the way we have to ask it, but I think we need to get down to, do residents in the village or people passing through the village who decide to actually fill out a questionnaire feel like when they come into this village that it doesn't matter the color of their skin, their religion, their age, whether they speak English fluently, etc.? Do they feel like they're going to get treated fairly no matter what? And we haven't asked anything like that in here.
Maybe it should say treated more or less fairly than any other. I'm just saying, like, the same as maybe is different.
Can you scroll slowly while we're talking so we can see the whole thing?
Where do you want me to go, to number 2 and 3?
I guess I want to start at the beginning and just be able to see where we are, so I see if we miss anything. I mean,
we have this little intro.
Do we have a direct discrimination question? Like, do you feel you've been unfairly targeted because of your race, gender, or ethnicity? There is a question when we talk about, there is a question when we talk something about it and we say race and gender.
Yeah, but that was whether we were being
why do you believe
those reasons. I feel like there has to be some question that addresses the big picture question, right? Am I going to get treated fairly? Am I going to be discriminated against? We don't ask anything that's very specific to that. I think we're remiss in not doing that.
All right, let me put this question here as 4B, and I'll renumber it.
because that's where the tough conversations are to come from.
So maybe the question, just ask that just flat out. Have you ever felt discriminated against by a Village of Mamaroneck police officer?
Yeah.
Well, this is a different question as opposed to how do you feel how you have been treated, or is your perception of the police that you would be treated the same way? One is about your perception and the other is about your past experience. And in a more legalese kind of way, you could say, do you feel you have been unfairly targeted because of your race, gender, or ethnicity, which is a perception of the past rather than the question that's highlighted now, which is the perception in the present or future. Which is, yeah, there's three different questions. There's what's happened to you in the past, there's how you perceive what happened to you in the past, and then how you perceive the present and the future. And I don't know how if you guys want to break it down, if you want to find one way to say it.
I don't think we need 3 questions on it, but maybe just rewording the question, similarly to the way you just said it, because I think we have to be very direct and ask the question.
Yeah. Maybe like, do you feel your local police would treat you differently or than anyone else in the village due to your race, ethnicity, or something like that?
What if we did 2 questions though? What if we had this one, would you be treated the same? And then, because you know how surveys are, they ask the same question a million different ways. And these are 2 different ways, I think, to get at similar aspects of the exact same issue, which is, and then either do you feel you've been unfairly targeted in the past? Or do you feel that your race, ethnicity, gender identity, or sexual identity is a factor in how you are treated by the police, or a negative factor, something like that? I don't know. You guys figure out how to word this.
So I wouldn't say treated the same as everyone else, because if everyone's getting treated differently, it gets to be a confusing question.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could talk about being treated fairly or equitably, or something in that kind of phraseology where it's
So it looks like we have 17 questions without the demographic questions.
Can I just I grew up in the Flats. You guys call it Washingtonville, the Flats. I hang out in Papes Park. I have hung out in Papes Park since I was a little kid. I've hung out in Columbus Park. And what we say is, the cops treat white folks different than us. Don't you know that, right? Or do you think that? So, I'm just telling you the perception of down there, okay? The same way about a year ago to 2 years ago, I was talking to Trustee Keith Waite, and I said, if you come down and sit in the park as a white man who they don't know, the cops are gonna come by. And he says, no way. And he came by and he sat down, and dead on point, cops came by. Now that pattern has been around since I was a kid. We used to say to the cops, don't you know white folks live in this neighborhood? So the question has to be asked straight out. Do you feel you're treated differently because of your race or ethnicity?
Yeah, I agree.
And let that just be the question. Let it be the question. Because the perception, the same people that I talked to, I couldn't get on that Zoom meeting the other night. I couldn't get them. They won't do it. And so that's what I'm saying is that so the few people that you will get, let it be direct, let it be blunt, and we'll have to deal with whatever it is.
Yeah.
Plain, simple, and obvious.
Yeah. It has to be very direct because we want transparency and we want to build trust, and we also need the answers.
Give me the language of this question then.
Jared, the way he just said it, do
you feel the police would treat you differently because of your race or ethnicity?
Okay. Than any other person in the village, or?
No, I don't think he needs to add that just because.
I think just how he had it.
That? Do you feel
you should probably change local police to Village of Mamaroneck just to be consistent.
Yeah. Well, I think when we're done, you have to go through and make sure all of it,
make sure. Yeah,
not
exactly.
VOM and then VM and then police and then it all is exactly the same.
Yeah. Or because of your race or anything. I don't think that's kind of splitting hairs, but we could say because of your race.
Do you feel that they would treat you differently?
Okay, so is it yes?
Jerry,
Okay.
I just sent you an email. I drafted the question in two different ways, one for the past and one for the future. And maybe we can get comments on that quickly.
Okay, hold on.
But I think it addresses everyone's concerns. I can just read it, or I could share it. Can I share this?
I don't
with you?
know. No, I'm big at copy and pasting everything because I like stealing stuff from other people. So hold on here. I got you. I got your comments right here. I'm putting it at the end of the page. And then I'm going to share my screen. Wrong one.
Not that one, Jerry. The more recent one. That was for number 2 and 3.
Oh, the more recent one, you have a different, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I have to go. My son is
That was
3,
in-
and if I'm not the one to put him to bed,
He won't go to bed.
problem. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I'll review once you send it back around and let you know if I have any other thing to add.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
I gotta
Easy
go as well,
faster
but
in the
I'll
future.
review and look forward to the next call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. I just got these from Michael.
Sadly, during COVID, I have no social life, so you can keep me here for another hour if you want. I got nothing.
I get paid by
Just
the hour.
let you know.
I get paid by the hour, so they.
This was the highlight of my day. It was one of those days.
If you feel and or have been treated unfairly and or discriminated against in the past by the Village of Mamaroneck, okay, do you feel, right? So it's a yes, no. Is it 2 questions? Can you make 2 questions into one?
You can't
I
have.
don't know if you need feel and or believe. I think you could just say, do you believe you were treated unfairly?
Okay, do you believe?
That's fine. I just didn't but yeah, it would be a yes, no, and then if yes, please explain.
Yeah.
Do you believe you have been treated unfairly and or discriminated against in the past by
VMPD?
Yeah, VMPD.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with the 2 questions because sometimes you have someone who's never had an interaction with the police, but because they've spoken to other people or witnessed things, they just assume that in
They
the
feel
future
that
they
it could
will be
happen
treated
again.
unfairly. So I do think it's 2 different questions, although I hate that we're making this longer, but I think they're important questions though.
All right, I'm going from this, this, and I'm gonna put, I need to get consensus on the yes, no at the bottom. So then are we doing this for B? We're not doing it because we're replacing it with those 2 questions.
From the highlight down, you're replacing with those 2 questions, yeah.
Why?
Because we're asking this question in 2 different ways, past and future.
Okay, so do you believe you treated? I don't like and or. I think it's a distraction from the question. I just think you should say or.
Or, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Fine on both, yeah.
Make it as easy and
You don't need
straightforward
to
as
say
possible.
in the past. If you say you have been, you don't need in the past.
Okay, so we get rid of that.
So then you would take out in the future as well.
Mm,
Because it says, do you believe you would
I
be?
think I know, but that might make a clear distinction to have something past, future, as opposed to.
well, let me cut it for a second and then.
What if you said, do you think that race, ethnicity, et cetera, are a factor in how police interact with the public? Or with you? One is the individual.
Yeah, it gets away from the individual experience, right?
And it goes into perception.
It goes into perception. If we
Well,
want.
it is all perception, right? Because
well,
that's
the
what we're
first is-
asking. Do you perceive? It says, do you believe? So that's your perception.
Right.
But it's you, Sharon.
Yeah.
So it's have you been treated unfairly or discriminated against? My answer to that would be no, and my answer to the next one would be no, because look at me and look at what I do.
But with this question, I feel like I would, and maybe this is just the HR in me, I would put it out there and add because of your race or ethnicity. I mean, I almost want to just say the color of your skin, because that's what it really is. I can't always tell what someone's race is, but I can tell on a scale.
Sharon, you don't know that. There may be somebody who's transgender in our community who was treated.
No, I'm not saying that we should. I'm not saying to exclude that. My point was to be more specific, because I could feel like I was discriminated against for whatever reason, but discrimination is a legal term that has very specific implications. And so I think we should say, so if you say your race, ethnicity, sexual identity, I mean, you can put a few things,
I think
the
people
straightforward
understand
question is
treatment-
much better here.
I think people understand treated unfairly or discriminated against enough to know, because if you want to get into categories of discrimination, this is going to be half a page.
And then you can give people an opportunity to expound if they want to.
If why, because I'm female, because I'm young, because I'm old, because
Right.
I'm anything. Yeah.
But then I think it should be followed up with or preceded by a general question about the perception of discrimination in the village. I think we really should not finish this survey without something because of the history. I mean, for what Michael was saying before, you know, maybe everyone will say no. And wouldn't that be great? But because of our history, I do think we should say something to the effect of, do you think that police discriminate against people, or that race and ethnicity are factors in the way that the police treat members of the public?
So that's a second catch-all question, because our current catch-all question, is there anything else you want to share? Please share.
Yeah, this is a different question.
But it's not a catch-all, right? It's not something where it's something that follows something else. Because we're at 17, 18 questions, I think, if I'm keeping track.
You know, the way this is set up, I can only see a couple of people. I guess it's the people who are talking. Is there anybody else left on the call, or are they just?
There's 12 people participating and 2 people watching.
Okay.
And I gotta go. I gotta go, everybody.
All right.
I'm sorry, Jerry. I gotta go.
Wait,
no
Jared?
problem.
All right.
Jared?
Yes.
Are we close on that last question?
I think.
Are we close
I
on
think
that
you are.
question?
I think you are.
I'll bring
I
it.
think you are.
No, wrong one. This is it. Do you believe you have been treated fairly or discriminated against by the VMPD based on your race or ethnicity?
I would like to cut out based on your race or ethnicity. Does anybody object?
I feel like we have to have some sort of reference.
You don't think
It doesn't have to say race or ethnicity, but I think to have this whole survey, and if you look back at the past year, it's, with the exception of one person that comes to mind, it's been Black men. So to ignore what we know has been happening this year on this, to me, is remiss. We could word it anyway. I'm not stuck on the wording, but I think to leave out those specific traits that we know are a national problem that are leading into this, it's like we don't want to address it. I think we need to just say it. That's how you start those conversations off. You say it.
I mean, if you look at the George Floyd Act, you look at the Say Her Name, Breonna Taylor law, if you look at the all the different things that they're listing because it's perceived that there's an issue between the African American, how we're treated, and how the police treats others. Mm-hmm. So it's the perception. Now, we may come back and say, well, no, you know, we're fortunate to live in the village of Mamaroneck, and we're not treated that way. We really haven't had the issues here like they have nationwide, but we may get some answers. But you have to answer. That is really the basics for this whole thing. We can talk 16 other questions, but that's the question we need to know.
Yes.
That's really the question we need to know. And I think
agree.
that as raw as it feels and as raw as it needs to be, and it may ruffle some people's feathers, but that's the question. Do you feel that, yes, sir.
I love you just put the way you just began that. What if we began by a slightly longer question? In the United States, the issue of mistreatment of minorities by the police has been very visible over the last year.
Oh, I can't,
Black men.
Of black men, where black men are treated by the police has been very, very visible.
No.
But not just black men.
Theo.
Not just black men. I mean, you can go to Sandra Bland, Rakia Boyd. You can just keep going down the line. In the black community, we've gotten away from.
Here's the point I want to make. However the introduction is, and I think you just gave a very good introduction. We could use that introduction. Do you think you would be the people are treated, then bring it down to Mamaroneck and say, do you think that is a problem here in Mamaroneck, or do you think we are fortunate to escape those? But something like that, which would focus it on the larger national debate.
I don't think we need to focus on that whole debate. We already know it. It's everywhere. I think if we're looking at the village of Mamaroneck, I'm sorry, my dogs are ready to go at walk and they're annoyed at me right now. So we need to focus and be really direct. I know it's my opinion, but it's so basic. We have to just say the thing that's uncomfortable and just say it. That's it. We have to find a way to say, due to certain characteristics and, however we word those characteristics, we have to be explicit that it's the color of your skin and other factors. If you want to start getting into sexual identity and other things, that's fine. But the big one for me, especially, is race. You have to be able to just say it. Do you think that because of your skin color, because of whatever, you are going to be treated differently? You're going to be unfairly discriminated against. Anything short of really laying it out there is not getting us to where we need to go.
Exactly, because I'm going to tell you this. You can ask any brother that lives in a village where Mamaroneck, do you drive through Harrison at night? And they're going to tell you no. So it has to be as blunt like that. Okay? I don't have a problem driving in a village where Mamaroneck at night. But I tell you, I specifically will not drive in Harrison or Rye at night. And I know many people from Mamaroneck, we will not do it.
I won't even go to Harrison, so.
Chief DeRussa.
Okay, so
Jared, Chief DeRussa unmuted. Before you go, I want to see what she has to say.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's direct. It's to the point. I think if you make it too lengthy, people are just going to get lost in it. They're not going to want to continue to read on. So I think the way it is, I think is perfect.
It is. It works.
All right.
It works.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. I'll stay tuned.
All right, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
Bye.
Okay, so this is the not so neat version that I'm
All right, so I hate to do this because I know it's already late and there's going to be two of us in about 10 minutes, but the introduction, although I get it and I understand what you're doing, it's so long.
Yep.
Like it's really long. It needs to be half that size.
I'll chop it.
Okay.
Yep. No problem. All right, I'm saving this and then I'm sending it out and it's going to go to everybody.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It was good work.
All right, I have something I have to say. Jerry, I sent a list of organizations and resources that I thought, sources that I thought could disseminate our open to the public meeting. And what we got back was a list of Facebook pages that it had been posted to, and that's it. And there are a lot of different both individuals and organizations like Cure and One Mamaroneck and the school, and with a little pressure on Dr. Shaps, it could actually go in that daily publication that they send out and one that the PTSA sends out.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to work much harder. And yeah, I'm sorry, Robert left early. You can't just say in some dry way, the ad hoc committee will be open for public comment. You gotta say something about why it is important and bring people in. We are not trying to keep people away. We are trying to get people to open themselves and share. And at this point, what's good and what we can improve. We've got to be catchier than that.
A little bit about, so we're a government and we're devoid of emotion. And if you haven't really known me like Danielle does, I am completely devoid of emotion. Sometimes we are very dry and sometimes we're very direct, but what we can,
You're funny.
Final editor of what goes out on anything in the you can send stuff to me as far as the language or the draft or something that may, that may bring out that emotion that I don't have, and send it to me, and then I'll work it in. I will take whatever the committee sends in and I'll work it into our blast, our drafts, our flyers. We'll do that. We'll do that stuff.
Jerry, if you want to write it, like whatever your, void of emotion content would be, and send it to me.
I don't write.
I have to do a lot of HR communications. If you want to send it to me, I'm happy to like tweak it a little, and then you could send it to the group and let the group read it instead of having 12 people send you a whole bunch of different things that you have to combine into one.
Danielle, these good people don't know anything about me. I don't write anything. Other people write it for me, Sharon, and then I end up looking at it. If it feels right, I send it out because I have to be the person who gets the, who gets the hits on it if there's something wrong with it.
Right.
So anything that anyone sends me, I will incorporate.
Yeah, but I agree with Theodora. It's got to be interesting and bring people in. It can't just be factual, because factual doesn't get anybody's attention. They go right past it.
I know, but we don't have that. We don't have that gene running through our body. We don't have that. We're very.
No, but people on the committee do. We'll help you.
Yeah, people on the committee do. Right. Theodora has a lot of passion. Send that over to us.
Yeah, that's why you're in the Avalon, Jerry.
That's right. That's exactly right.
We got to work on that.
And where are we posting this information? Like, are we going to go on Nextdoor? Or should one of us? I mean, I am happy to do it, but
no. I have
other places
through Robert. So I will research with Robert the Cure. I know who to contact at One Mamaroneck. We will start doing the other than the typical Facebook and village stuff. We'll start doing that now in the future. This has just been something where it's very difficult for us to ramp up and to get to that peak point right off the. So we'll slowly build to that. I know that we will within the next week or two. So we'll be all right.
You told me that you had some kind of contact list or some.
We have a constant contact list. We have 5,000 people in our email, because remember when you got the email about the Santa's Express or the Christmas thing?
I sure do.
Right, but you didn't get the one about us. So I
didn't get that.
Yeah, so we have this mailing list, and I think because you're a committee member, you might be on it, but I don't know if you ever registered or not. So we have this mailing list. We send out the village newsletter every Friday.
That from Dan,
right?
The one from Dan?
No,
no, this is something else.
Dan's is his own complete. Yeah, so we have a completely.
His is a mess. Just
so ours is cleaner but dry. All right, Dan's may be colorful, red.
Oh, it's a hot mess. Just
cleaner and dry. So, but we send one out. If you're not on that mailing list, then we got to get on that mailing list. But
I'm not on it.
On that mailing list.
I'm not either.
Jerry, and if you want to record a short video, for us to post on our Facebook sometimes, because of this is all virtual, people don't want to read anymore. They want to see more people talking. I mean, I was thinking about doing that for more outreach in our, with our clients. But if you want to do it, I would be happy to post it.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
No, Janet should do it. Not Jerry, Janet.
I don't have the sense of humor that Jerry does. So.
You should see how well John speaks Spanish. It's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's like a show off. Okay, so I'll make sure we ramp up to the alternate sources, and make sure that I get the information, whatever language you guys want to do to promote your committee. This is your committee. Take ownership of it. We'll push it out there, and we'll try pushing out the public forum. The mayor did the press release so that he can release it to the news and he can release it to the other sources. So I think it was a good idea to work on the press release, and he and Robert worked on the press release all day today. I don't know if I haven't seen the final version of it yet, but it's pretty close. And it's a typical Tom press release. So, factual and inviting and all of that stuff.
And it says Tom like 20 times.
Yeah, Tom. It's being recorded. Oh my God. All right, so that's it. Before we get into more trouble.
I'm gonna watch it later.
Jerry? Thank you so much for so much work and for hanging in with us till so
You're
late. I know you're going to work on the flyer and it's going to be the weekend. Just thank you so much. I'm really impressed by the
Yeah,
kind of-
no, you're very welcome. Thank you. And then I'll send the,
Wait a minute, I'm totally
I'll send
resentful. I'm gonna say,
I'll send
okay.
the survey. I will send the survey.
Flyer?
I sent the social media policies. So you guys have that.
Yeah.
You may be able to, Chief, if you have any information on body camera costs, maybe we'll just share the costs with the committee and up to them. This way they're aware of what they are, of what it is. Because if we're with the committee and we share it with the board, at least we're sharing it with both, you know, both committees together. Okay. Good.
Terrific. Thank you.
Wait,
Thank
when's
you.
our next meeting? When's our next committee meeting?
I wish I knew.
Was it the,
Okay.
there was a
I'll wait till I get the Zoom meeting invite.
Yeah, you'll get the Zoom invite.
Okay.
Tomorrow at 6
Yeah,
a.m.
I'll put out the email with the other committees. Go ahead, John.
Okay.
What did you say? John, did you want to say something?
No, I was gonna say, how about tomorrow at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
thank you very much, Chief, for hanging in with us.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Patient. Bye. Have a good